Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterland universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
Send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode, another great guest. We've been talking about getting this guy back on pretty much since we had him on the first time. So, gosh, I guess better part of the last year now. Quick shout out to Crypto Eater, Aqualis, Splinterlands Marketplace over on Aqualis. Go check it out. Push and shove, continuing to do what they do. So we got FatJimmy back on. We got a lot of cool stuff to chat through today. So welcome back to the show, Jimmy.
Jimmy. I guess we got to know, everybody's, I'm sure, been, needs to know this right off the bat, dying to know, since we had Vet on a few weeks back. Did he send you the cheese? Did you get the cheese? How was the cheese?
Don't have the cheese yet. Do not yet have
Where's
the cheese.
the cheese?
Where's the cheese, Vet?
Actually, he sent me a message before. Let me see if it's
cheese related.
Is it cheese related?
A little scratch and sniff Discord message.
Not cheese related. Yeah.
Oh man,
unfortunately, it's coming though. Those
slacking off.
Amazing stuff. I tried it already at Christmas. We stopped by his place, driving by on the way to his sister's, and they had homemade like crackers and from like sourdough bread starter. That was amazing. And then we had this cheese, and it was absolutely freaking phenomenal. It was so good. And they make like goat milk soap. They loaded us up with some of that. Totally cool. Super cool. And
sounds like he's got like a whole self-sustaining thing going on over there.
Oh yeah, when the stuff goes down, he'll be able to at least have goat product.
And doing that homestead life in Connecticut, that's not where you would typically think of homesteaders steading, but he seems to be doing it pretty successfully.
There's some pretty cool geography up there in the Northeast. It's pretty amazing, actually. So there's a lot of woods. It's actually can be pretty reclusive in certain spots that you wouldn't think would be.
Connecticut it's one of those places that can get rural pretty quickly, surprisingly, once you get outside the sort of like the coastline and the New York kind of suburbs and the major cities there. So
yeah.
I mean, I would think like upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, especially Vermont, New Hampshire are kind of notorious for being, don't tread on me and freedom, and we're gonna homestead it up. But yeah, I just haven't spent enough time in Connecticut. But yeah, shout
Connecticut,
out to for doing it.
Western Mass too, like a good chunk of Western Mass is like that as well.
Yeah, it's all kind of similar geography up there. The Appalachians and lower the Catskills and all that. And it's there's actually a lot of as far as history goes in the United States, that's where a lot of it started. I mean, obviously early Virginia settlements, but the hub of the country starting and was Northeast up there.
Yeah,
a lot of cool shit.
Vermont was the first republic. Declared itself a republic before anybody else. So yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah. A lot of people when they think of that, they think of like Texas.
I was just gonna say they beat Texas to the punch, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, this is before people
a couple hundred years
close to Texas. Yeah, no, maybe just probably just by about 100. It was like it was kind of like one of those things where it's actually really. I've read, I've spent a decent amount of time up in Vermont and read some books on it and stuff, and it's a whole big thing because they were kind of getting tossed back and forth, and it was unclear who actually owned the land, and it was back when the king was kind of doling out land and borders, and there was overlapping claims between New York and like I guess the claim for like Maine and New Hampshire and stuff, and so they were kind of felt like they were getting a raw deal because these people thought they had the land that they owned according to one guy, one old rich white guy, and there was, another old rich white guy with a competing claim to it that could have come in and said, well, you sold, you bought the land from that guy, but it's really mine. So you guys got to all get out of here. So they were kind of like rose up very early on and kind of declared themselves an independent republic. Like very, very early on in when the War for Independence was happening. So brief little history lesson for everybody on Vermont there.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you say the first one, it was 1777 to 1779, 14-year independent republic. Cool.
Whoa, 1777. So after the United States had started there.
Yeah, it was basically right when the United States declared independence, they kind of said we're our own republic, and I think it was probably until they actually joined, the United States became officially after the Articles of Confederation that they came back into the fold.
Interesting. I didn't.
And they had initially declared themselves independent as the name New Connecticut.
There you go.
to bring it full circle. To bring it full
New
circle.
Connecticut. They're writing that out with the quills. They're like, man, this is too long. We got to change it.
Vermont something.
New Connecticut.
Yeah, there's not a lot of
holy crap.
I will knock on that area is there's not a lot of originality in naming. It's everything's like New London, new, you know what I mean? It's
New
like
York,
new stuff. Yeah,
New
Amsterdam.
Yeah,
New Haven.
New Amsterdam. Another long name.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I wonder how much truth there is to shit, man. We cannot consistently spell Connecticut correctly. We got to mix it up.
Tough. I lived in college in DC. I lived on Connecticut Avenue. And so for a year, I guess a little over a year and a half, in a house where we rented. And so I had to learn how to spell Connecticut. Like write it on stuff.
And write it on stuff super
Yeah.
long. Reminds me of that song, "We Gonna Rock Down to Connecticut Avenue." 80.
Nice. Cool, man. So let's kick it off with there's a few proposals in the mix right now. I think the one that has kind of garnered the most attention, and I would say rightfully so, is the one from Yaba. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Jimmy, on what Yaba's trying to do with Wild, bringing in the permit, the pretty much pay to play aspect of 2,000 DEC, or I think it's 40 vouchers per season in order to play and earn in Wild. What's your quick take on the proposal?
I think it's a good idea to give it a shot. I mean, I'm coming more from the angle of the permanent earn angle with that. Yes, we got the bot farm thing, obviously, probably good to get them recontributing. Again, this comes down, God, it's like opening a whole rabbit hole here. You could say Soulbound card, bots earning Soulbound cards, but Soulbound summoners cause this whole conundrum where they could just play with some, not even have to rent summoners, for God's sake, and they could just keep playing. But even just from not even that angle, let's say I bought Untamed, and just wanted to play Wild forever and earn with super powerful cards. I think it makes sense that, Modern, you always have to buy in. You got to be at least every other set. Like if you want to, play Modern, you got to continuously be either buying or renting cards. With Wild, that's not the case. So it makes sense that, you have a license, even from that just angle alone. All right, you can't just buy cards once and play Wild forever. If you're earning, it's going to cost you a couple bucks, to do it. And obviously, they got to find the balance where you're not, getting less in rewards than you're paying, because then no one would do it. Obviously, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I'm curious. So, Jimmy, I know you're. You come from a little bit of a different perspective than Hep and I in terms of our time of entrance into the game, and therefore your collection reflects that. So I wonder how, somebody like Hep, you have traditionally always loved playing Wild. Is this going to kind of curb your appetite for playing Wild and dabbling between Modern and Wild, because you'd have to shell out 2K DEC, or is it kind of a nominal fee and your earnings are, I think, for all intents and purposes, gonna increase. I can't imagine a world where all of those accounts that I think Matt said 75,000.
Yeah, they
accounts?
should increase.
Okay.
Earnings should increase if it does, reduce the number of bots. Just leech bots. Leech bots are different than big accounts running bots, I think.
Yeah.
No, I mean, so yeah, what was it? It was two, or what was the voucher and the number of vouchers?
40
40
vouchers.
vouchers.
40 vouchers, which is like, that's what, like $1.20 almost.
Yeah, they're like three-ish cents.
Yeah, they're probably around 3 cents. So I'm trying to think if I get that many. I wonder if I have get that many vouchers from my staked SPS earnings
Per season.
I probably get at least half of that a season, maybe more. So yeah, so for me, yeah, I'd probably use those vouchers for that and buy vouchers. I think it makes a lot of sense. I would like to see. I'm still kind of, to me, I want to see something that helps to benefit the team and kind of fills their coffers some more. So I don't know, is this DC going to be burned, or are they going to use that? But I'm sure they're probably saying they'll burn it or something.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure it's a burn proposal.
Yeah.
As it
Everything's
always
burned. Everything's
Yeah,
burned.
so everything's burned. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, so that, I mean, it helps. It's great for the ecosystem, but yeah, I don't know. I want to see them have a steady stream of income. Find some way to get that rolling and started. And it seems like people have a lot of great ideas with battle passes and cosmetics and other stuff like that, but it takes time that they maybe don't have to get that kind of rolling up. So yeah, I don't know. I'm fine with it. I'll definitely pay it and continue to play in Wild. Or if for some reason I feel like it's not advantageous, then I would just play in Wild and not earn, and just play because I think it's fun and I like playing with those cards, which is an option too. I haven't had a chance to look at the proposal. I've been a little swamped. Is it gonna be like, you're not gonna earn, right? It's not like they're gating Wild unless you have this, or is that the case?
No, that's it. Like, yeah, you have to buy the pass to play Wild. I think it's
Even
to
play
play
Wild.
it all. I don't think it's just to earn. It might be just to earn. That's a good question, actually.
Yeah, I don't think that I've heard that come up. That'd be interesting
Yeah.
if you could just. I mean,
Play
I would
earn.
almost happily forego the fee if I could. I mean, granted, it would cost energy. I would still, I would assume.
Right. Yeah, it definitely would. I would
So
think.
if you're giving up energy, you want to have something on the table to take home. But
Then we come back to Vedev's kitchen table game mode for all.
Yeah.
where
it's
can
in the
play-
works, man. So I pitched.
know, that's what I heard.
I pitched Siler on the idea, and he came back with a maybe 2 or 3 different proposed game modes that he would like to pursue, and I asked him if we could start working on a proposal for what the finances would look like and how we could fund the development side. And he's he'll get back to us. So we'll see. TBD.
Yeah,
Cool.
that'd be interesting. I'm curious to Matt's take on it too, because the recent town hall he mentioned like not being in favor of any free to play, that this is an NFT game and there's that angle, and that it's not a free to play scenario. But I'm wondering if he's just referring to playing and earning from playing, or if he's talking about also just people being able to jump in and try shit. I think it would be great to have a place where some guy finds the game and jumps in and, oh, do I want to spend $10 on a spell book? I don't know. Oh, wait, I could just try this game for free right here. Let me check it out. I think that would be really good. I don't see a downside to it. They say bot training, but I'm sure you can gate it somehow, so you can't just have thousands of learning matches run, make it reasonable how many you could play a day. Lets people train for tournaments, lets people challenge each other. That whole fully customizable challenge thing is huge. And we recently heard that they have that internally for testing.
Oh, where'd you hear that, Jimmy?
Yeah, I don't know. Some guy has. Couple guys. You guys are my driving. Whenever I'm driving, I'm just listening to people's jokes. It's just rolling.
Well, I don't know what you're gonna do this next week, bud. You're gonna self-indulge a little bit and
Pretend I didn't hear it before and see how you guys edit everything.
nice.
You
Cool,
just
man.
get,
Yeah,
get really drunk tonight, so you just forget the whole conversation we had, and that way it'll be fresh.
yeah,
for
there you
when
go. Yeah, the call out for being able to train your gameplay with that sort of stuff is brilliant. And I think it's put into great context with this massive tournament that's coming up. I think there's like 400 something people. Originally I was yeah, so it's going to increase maybe a little bit more here before the show ends. But, yeah, not a boy. But originally I was thinking, there's so many guys that are so well adapted to having 700 cards in their collection to choose from. I've never had that collection available, so I usually just get smoked in these open tournaments because it's like, the epic Valnamore plays, or you just getting bombed.
Oh yeah,
by
there's
Yoda.
some classic moves where you're just like, all right, man. Like there's an old death move. I don't know if this was Untamed era. I think it was. I don't remember if it was Untamed and Chaos. Yeah, I think it was Untamed Chaos, where you do that low mana, like a 14 mana match. You just take a let's see, -1 health summoner, and then you'd have all these other weakened cards like Dr. Blight and like 3 or 4 weakened cards, and you get your opponent down to like 1 or 2 health across the whole back row, and then throw Curse Slime Ball and a couple, redemption cards up there, and you would just freaking first move, second move, just wipe him out. Just freaking weaken him to nothing, and then he kills your slime ball, and it's just boom. The redemption takes his whole team out. Those fun little plays.
Yeah, that's fun, man. And a lot of that stuff I'm completely clueless to. So having this kitchen table mode, being able to test with all of the open collection at max level, I think, yeah, win-win in my mind. I'm not planning on getting anywhere close to that million DEC pot at the top end of the tournament. But both of you guys, wild savants. I hope you're signed up too, Happy.
I need to do that. I'm going to do that tonight.
Yeah, I got to do it tonight. I did okay in Modern last time when we did the little round table there.
Yeah, we got the move. The finishing move is aptly named the FatJimmy now.
There you go.
Has anyone hit it since then?
No, we've only had the one Royale from a couple of days ago, and we had a smaller group than usual, and we were kind of trading places on who was holding the mantle down.
Nice. Well, I just got lucky. That was all RNG.
Hey, that's what it takes sometimes, man. Yeah. So in celebration for this 6th anniversary, and we were talking about this a little bit before we hit record, is the Twitter takeover that Nate and co have kind of been orchestrating with the team. And yeah, if you guys, to kind of carry the thread from last week when I was somewhat subtly twisting Cryptomancer's arm to engage with Twitter and get himself an account on X. Man, this last week it is absolutely blowing up, and there's some fun kind of tangent storylines, I think, being born that the community has really run with. So for some context, the team shouted out a couple of kind of the big stalwart names on Twitter: Gold Matters, Brave Tofu, Dahota, and there was a typo on Dahota, and some random Turkish grandma with the username Dakota got pulled into the Splinterlands shout out and
through an incorrect
tag, and she has become like the golden goose for everything on Twitter at the moment. Everybody's like, oh, we got to get Dakota in. We got to get her into the game. Awesome. I'm going to name my summoner around it. Let's get a community driven proposed card named Dakota after this cat. So yeah, there's just a lot of fun. It's literally just fun, cool Twitter feed stuff going on around Splinterlands at the moment. So if you guys are still kind of holding out on messing around in the Twitterverse, go check it out.
I peek in every once in a while. I do the repost and like just to kind of engage and keep things pushing. But I've just been super busy with like business stuff lately, and I'm a little behind on or not keeping up as well as I should be with everything. But hopefully that'll be clearing up in a few weeks and I could really dive back in. If you're not doing it constantly, it kind of gets out of hand pretty quick.
Yes.
Absolutely. Like everything in life, I feel like, and that's the problem. You got to juggle it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, that's cool. It'd be good to see just a lot more of the positivity, and just, kind of having fun with it. Because that's when I came here, first came here, it was a lot of fun. That was kind of part of the whole deal. It was a lot of fun with a lot of cool people.
It's the name of the game, man. I would love to see Discord kind of round the bend, but I think a lot of folks have maybe slowly started to give up on Discord, turning the corner and re-engaging the positivity. But to your point earlier, Jimmy, you called out, it's important to be critical, but you don't have to be a dick about it. We can be respectful and present, counter arguments and different perspectives, but as soon as you just start throwing unnecessary nonsense into the mix, it spoils the fun for everyone. So keep it
Makes it
fun.
impossible. It makes it impossible to be constructive.
Yeah.
It used to be there were always opposing views, and it was literally a discussion, or debate type thing where people are like, we're trying to come to some consensus or move something forward, or just come up with cool ideas. And of course, you want the point and counterpoint. That's how it works. You need that, and it's just a matter of respect and presenting that and wanting to hear both sides. It's absolutely vital to hear both sides. But again, a lot of it is how it's presented. And I don't know. I was reading something, I don't know, I think yesterday or something that reminded me of Arnold Schwarzenegger with Kindergarten Cop, where he's just, I got that, he's screaming and just whatever he was doing. All these kids are just raging in there. He's just like, ah.
Jimmy, leave it up to you to bring the pop culture references, brother. Appreciate that, man.
Arnold.
Yeah, it's interesting how there seems to be some sort of narrative around proposals getting squandered or squashed before they ever get a chance to get proposed, because of the whales, quote unquote. And I get that to a certain extent, but if I have never seen, and the whales are very obviously Azarkon, who's very vocal and slams his vote with a big voice to back it. Crypto Eater Dave, there's a handful of guys that fit into that bill, but at the end of the day, we're all after the same thing. And if you can have that respectful, mutually beneficial discussion and conversation around, how do we present a proposal that's going to benefit everybody, including the game. Yeah, I would be absolutely shocked if guys like Victus and Azarkon downvoted it just because they don't like you. I think that's an absolute impossibility.
Yeah. And if you really look at how they vote, they don't always vote the same way. I mean, you see a lot of those top guys with different viewpoints on a lot of things. It's not like it's this constantly anonymous or unanimous setup. Like they're often voting in different, differently.
Yeah. It's not some sort of like cabal where they've, meeting in a back room somewhere and they're deciding, how the game's going to be run, and it's only, what they say goes. Yeah, no, yeah, they definitely disagree on stuff. So
yeah. But and that's been a thing that's been coming up lately too, is people talking about proposals beforehand. It's like, well, yeah, of course. If I'm going to burn 100K DEC, I want to know if it even has a chance, or if what would make it better, or whatever. I'm going to ask people I know and respect and be like, hey, what do you think of this idea? Oh,
that's
cool.
sort of like fundamental to how any legislative process works, right? And like it's some people might think of it, oh, there's just, it's just a game and the DAO and the proposals, but like this is supposed to like kind of mirror that system. And the people with influential votes in places like, Congress, the Senate and House and stuff, they're, chairs of committees and things like that. They're constantly being consulted on by members on what, bills should look like, or what would get their support or not get their support. Like that's just the way it works. And that's just smart, right? That's just smart to do beforehand. You don't just throw something out, spend the money to put a proposal together because you think it's awesome. without running it by people and then, crying
Mhm.
because it didn't pass.
Right. Like right now, that Soulbound thing, there's a bunch of people there's so many people talking about all these different ways to unlock these cards, and there's multiple proposals floating around, and nothing's really come out yet. But I guess we'll find out because like that's ultimately up to Matt, I guess.
It's got to happen
Yeah, and
soon.
I mean, yeah, personally, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I don't like Soulbound at all. I can't stand it. Honestly, the Soulbound cards. From the competitive angle, it's brutal. Um, if they were unlockable right away, that might be a different story. But and a lot of it comes down to, again, here, bot farm issues. Oh, we can't have Soulbound cards because these bot farms with tens of thousands of accounts would print millions of these cards and just flood the market and kind of ruin everything. But hopefully gating can do that. I don't know. There's so many different angles and ways to think about it. I just don't personally enjoy Soulbound cards.
Has that opinion kind of changed as these things as it has progressed in the system, or were you kind of against it right away, or
No,
when it
I
first
was
came
open
out,
to
you thought it was
seeing
like,
it.
oh, this could be cool?
I wanted to check it out. Yeah, I was like, this
Yeah.
could be totally cool. And then, had like the mixed bag. I got the Kulu Swim Hunter like right out of the gates. I got like a 3 shot
Oh,
of
you
him.
jerk.
Yeah, and then so I'm just crushing people, and I'm like, this can't be cool on the other side. That sucks to lose to
Me and
this.
Stever, me and
Yeah,
Stever's side, yeah.
yeah. Well, then Izzyar was the opposite. The other absolutely vital card I could not get. I couldn't get it for the longest time, and I'm just losing. And then you get to tournaments where these cards are in there, and you're like losing because you're all right. It's life. It's this much mana. I'm going to be going up against Izzyar. I don't have him. How do I try to fight him real quick? And he's going to be triple martyring. So like what do I do? And you're just at this serious disadvantage, which destroys the competitive edge, I think. Yeah, so definitely was open to it, but I just personally don't like it. If this is the whole blockchain thing and asset ownership and all that stuff, let's stick with that. Keep Web3. I could be down with some things being soulbound and some things not. Like I could see titles being soulbound, and not sellable. That's probably the one thing I'd much rather see be soulbound and
Yeah.
not something you could sell. Like, hey, if you got that Rift Watchers title because you were in the pre-sale, that should be on your account and you get bonuses for that for whatever reason. Not, I'm going to turn around and sell it. Or this high roller thing, if you were the guy who was in Vegas and paid for the VIP thing, that's soulbound to your account. And, not some guy can buy it and pretend he was in Vegas doing the thing. I don't know. I think there's a balance to be had with that stuff.
Yeah, Matt seems like he's so set on, the soulbounds are just the way to go. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure he's ever really explained it, like why he's that way. I think he kind of has that. Um, he's obviously a very smart guy. I think it's kind of like sometimes he'll just kind of say things like it was like with the changes to the rank system, how a lot of people, myself included, didn't like that we took out the leagues. This issue with the soul bounds. It's kind of like he's like, this is the way we have to do things. This is the way we're going to do it moving forward. And I don't know. I feel like maybe he's got a great in-depth reasoning behind that. I don't feel like I've really understood that. And, maybe I just haven't looked at it enough. I know he tends to sometimes put stuff out there, and then if people have problems with it, he'll often leave, in comments on Peak D articles. That's sometimes where you get the most information from Matt, is when he's responding to someone's comment of why they don't like something, and he'll give you, a page of text in response. But that's thing's not always, the most visible, because you got to kind of really be hunting and
Right.
looking
I've
for that
stumbled
stuff.
across some of those and been like, okay, that makes sense. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. But
there's no visibility. That's the problem.
yeah, why didn't you say that in the town hall instead of having like a 600-word response to someone's comment in Peak D be like the most, explaining yourself fully
Mhm.
there.
Yeah. But also when you were saying that, that kind of brought up, I guess, in a roundabout way, just how maybe, smaller play. We're talking about how there's this image of all backroom deals and all the whales doing this and whales doing that. I mean, it almost feels like if you're looking at it from other perspectives, being a little guy, it does kind of seem like you're not getting heard right now. the whole removal of the leagues thing. You guys did that survey that was, overwhelmingly against removing the leagues. I mean, I've heard arguments for both, and I'm definitely willing to see if Matt's thing works. We still have yet to let that happen. I mean, part of how it could possibly work was having the liquidity bots that we need, so everything shuffles into place. So it's almost like, I don't know, I almost feel like it happened too soon without all the moving parts into place, and then we're just kind of in limbo, waiting for all these moving parts to actually fit into place so we could even see if it works.
Yeah.
Whereas if we had all these liquidity bots first, then we'd be like, okay, in a few seasons we see if it does shuffle out how it's intended. I'm personally, I hear arguments on both sides, but I don't think it's the right move. Just because it again, look at the little guys. There's nothing to look forward to. You're doomed to lose 50% of your matches. You're not really going to go anywhere. You're going to settle into this limbo where it almost seems like an arms race, like, oh yeah, I'm doing okay here. Oh, now this max level freaking card just comes and stomps me, which is a horrible feeling because you don't have that card. Yeah. It's not like, I mean, you can go get it, but I don't know, it becomes an arms race in that structure, where it feels like, oh, just get higher cards or buy more cards and stuff. It's like, I don't know. That doesn't sit well with me because a lot of people play where they can play and where they're comfortable playing and where their economic situation allows them to play. Some people say camping in bronze or camping in silver was bad. It's like, I don't see that as bad. You could say people are camping in champ, because they're just up there and a few people are dominating the leaderboards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get the argument for people camping and why that's a negative thing. Like, you have leaderboards there for a reason. It creates competition and creates excitement for players in lower leagues. Where, I mean, I'll be very honestly, it's very disengaging. The game feels very disengaging in general now. I still play a few matches a day, 5-10 matches a day because it is fun, but I don't feel anywhere as attached to it as I did before when I could play competitively in gold. Even if I wasn't hitting the leaderboard, it was just kind of, yeah, it's like I was at least learning. Like now, I brought this up before. I think one of the things that probably doesn't get addressed enough is, especially for like if I'm in gold tournament or gold brawls, like I don't get to play gold level matches on a regular basis, right? Because I'm constantly facing max decks. Even if I'm, in the top of silver, middle of gold 2 or whatever, I kind of end up in the end of the season. But so if I play and I have some max cards, I got a couple of max summoners from Chaos Legion summoners. And so it kind of makes, if I want to win, it makes sense to play one of those max summoners and a couple of the max level regular cards that I have because it gives me better odds. And so then now I'm not playing with as many cards as I want to. And B, if I'm trying to figure out what's a good hand in a certain rule set for a gold level, I can't get the feedback that I need because it's going up against a max level deck, right? And so you don't know, this could be a really good hand. It could have been a really good thing to play, but yeah, if you're just getting stomped on by max level cards, you'll never know and you'll never build that feedback. So yeah,
what you're
it's tough.
experiencing is very important to recognize that that's what's going on. Gold was a particularly tasty league for people because it was almost like I don't want to say minor leagues, but it was almost like you had to have a substantial investment to max your gold deck. You had skin in the game, and you could be competitive at this place. To move up to champ, it's almost 100% more. It's like twice as much BCX for everything. So that was a huge leap, and that was a great little spot where people could say, "I'm putting some skin in. I'm putting some money, and I'm having fun with this. I'm earning. I'm playing, and I don't feel comfortable in doubling my investment to play champ regularly." I will see, one thing people were saying against the camping was that you'd have a situation where people would be on the top of bronze or the top of silver or whatever, and they would just be stomping the lower guys in silver or bronze. This is what I was told. This is one of the arguments people have said. And again, there's ways to fix that.
Well, that was liquidity bots.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's that was a liquidity issue as well, right? Because it didn't used to be as much of a problem when you could get the liquidity and then in the matches to get a higher rating and get out of it if you wanted. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was all very clearly a liquidity issue
Or
too. So the
let people
liquidity bots would have
choose.
fixed the same problem. Yeah,
Yeah,
you just
letting
took
people
away the
choose their
option.
league is another one too. You know, where
Yeah,
people are like, "Oh, I got stuck in bronze or stuck in silver
yeah,
and didn't get it out." It's like if you allowed people to choose what league they're going to play. And again, this all comes down to having liquidity bots. So there's enough
yeah.
matches in any league, but you can make it. So you want Silver One to be the competitive leaderboard. Have that Silver One players play Silver One players and Silver One bots, and don't have them stomping on the Silver Three guys who just moved up from bronze. There's ways to do that.
Yeah.
The competitive angle is a very important part of the game, and it like you're just showed from what you just explained, you're experiencing that in real time, and that's not something to invalidate or to dismiss. And you're not the only one. There are a lot of players feeling that, and I think part of what the smaller players are upset about, and what a lot of the salt we're hearing, is that they really feel like their voices aren't being heard. Because they're saying, "Dude, this sucks. I'm just sitting there getting stomped by max decks. I liked playing blinds. I like playing silver. And they're not really whoa. Can you guys hear that?
No. What do
Oh,
you
okay. There's literally a cat fight outside.
Oh, nice.
But this is funny with what we're discussing right now too. Yeah, I could understand the angle that they feel like their voices aren't being heard and that they're getting squeezed out of the game. Moving up, incentive to move up is great. And I think there's always been incentive to move up. I think the formula was double your investment and 8x your rewards, or 4x your rewards.
Yeah.
Every as you moved up from bronze to silver, you're doubling, and you're earning, more than twice as much. And each league had that metric. So by the time you got to the top, you're like, your earnings way more than bronze. And that is definitely incentive to move up. And incentivizing advancement is absolutely vital and absolutely necessary. And I believe that was in place the whole time.
Yeah, I could have always chosen to move up into diamond, right? Like I was good enough to get up to that level. I did almost every season. I actually, I tried it out sometimes and could even get out of diamond 3 into diamond 2 playing with a gold level deck. Because there was other people doing the same thing. And, it was about finding like, what did you find fun, or where did you find the rewards or balance, right? Like it wasn't like I couldn't have done that, right? You know what I mean? Like there was incentive for me to move up, and I could have said, "Oh, okay, well now, like if I'm going to do this, I can get a few more max summoners or one max summoner and play some more max cards." Like that option was always on the table. It's just now that the option to just stay and play against cards you want to play against is gone. Yeah.
Right, and that takes a lot of the fun out of the situation there.
Yeah.
It's incentivizing is good, punishing is not. And now it kind of feels like, and the impression I get is that a lot of smaller players feel like they're being punished for not being able to afford max cards. I mean, this game is incredibly expensive at the top level, and it's become more so lately, which is another thing that I'd be happy to dive into opinions on too, because it's all a balance. There's one angle. Yeah, it's great that Rebellion is maintaining its price and all this stuff, but what happens if we do get a lot of eyes on the game? We get everything situated and start marketing, and all of a sudden, literally 100,000 people want to start playing, and there's no Rebellion cards. Because they were. I think they're too expensive to buy. $4 packs, I think, is a very steep ask, given how many cards it takes to max and all that. I think I'm in the camp. There's a lot of people that feel this way. The $2 was a sweet spot, for a pack. It's not too I know personally I'd be popping $2 packs almost daily, but I don't buy any $4 packs. I'm buying my cards I need off the market. I just keep my eyes open, and when I see something that's good or on sale or whatever, I'll grab it. I grabbed a Max Captain Fellblade the other day because it was
Nice.
cheap. It was like $1 less per BCX, and I had been slowly maxing mine. I was like, hell, I'm just gonna buy that max one and sell my other, even though I didn't sell my other yet. I probably won't, but I should. But there's there's a balance that has to be found with pricing. And right now, if it's too exclusive, how are we going to get people in? How are we going to have that mass adoption if people look at the game and say it's too expensive, I can't play, and you don't have those price tiers where people could say, I'm going to play bronze, and then you get a lot of casual players in bronze, and naturally you're going to get people who say, oh, look at silver, that's enticing, and I earn way more. I'm going to do the silver thing, and now I'm going to do the gold thing. It's a natural progression, and if the incentive is there without the punishment, you're just going to have a lot more inclusion, and you're going to have a lot more people moving up.
Well, I
That's how I
think
see it. Yeah.
no, I completely agree, man. And I think back, as far back as when I first started, that's how I entered the game was, okay, I'm gonna get everything leveled up to silver and then start looking at, what's possible at gold. And
That's what
it
I
was,
did.
yeah, it was a sustainable, practical way to approach the game. And I wasn't getting outgunned. I might have been out skilled, but it was all learning lessons where, to your point, Hep,
Mhm.
it's not learning lessons. It's go to the market and get more cards is the only way
Right.
to, match
Yeah.
the quote unquote, skilled opponent. But
And
I think, oh, go ahead, man.
no, I was going to say, let's put that on a higher level. Like, let's say, to try to put it in perspective for people in champ, what are other people going through in a lower league? Let's say that there was no champ limit, that there was no 400 BCX limit, that it was infinite cards. Okay. Like their level 10 was not the max for common. It's just, if you were going to keep buying cards and keep stacking, you could just make your cards more and more powerful. That's what it's kind of seems like it feels like for the guys in the lower leagues right now. Because if we were playing champ and then all of a sudden, no, my level 10 card, or what, Gablano Soldier, for example. Let's make him a level 20, and he's got a freaking 12 melee attack and all these ridiculous stats, and it just literally becomes this endless arms race where the answer is to buy more powerful cards, and that kind of, I don't know, dilutes everything else about the game. The
It removes the
strategy.
skill. It removes the
Yeah,
skill.
it really removes the skill. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and both of you guys use the word camp, and I'm going to push back on that. I don't think camping is necessarily the right word, because I think about guys like UHEP and guys like Schnapoon and guys like Hellslash, UA, who were routinely at the top of the leaderboard, and I wouldn't say they were camping. I would say they were looking to be the absolute best in that respective league. They probably could have gone to gold, for example, with that silver deck and competed, but they wouldn't have been able to compete at that 75%, 80% win rate to, you know, to what they were accustomed to. I don't know, man. At this point, I kind of feel like I've thrown in the towel on pushing back on the league lock stuff, or lack of league lock stuff, and
Yeah.
committed to seeing, can we make it work? But then I hear, voices like yours, Hep, where, that's a very shitty realization, where somebody who was, so passionate about the game that we've done a podcast for 2 years, but you feel completely disengaged from the game. That sucks.
I wouldn't say
And
completely
after sound
disengaged, but
and
yeah.
buys.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of people at gold who are just,
Yeah.
that was a really cool spot. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
But yeah, no, it is. I feel way less, way less engaged with the game than I
Okay.
used to.
Well, not completely disengaged, but the pendulum has swung, very heavily in the opposite direction. And I feel like, to lessen that blow, to your point, where you can't, the only place where you can consistently play the cards at your level and be matched up appropriately is tournaments and brawls. Therefore, yes. Therefore, I feel like, if the league lock stuff had been removed, and the levels, or the caps on levels had been removed at the same time as there were these additional game modes made available where you could compete on a fair playing ground, I feel like this pain would be a lot less powerful, right? If you could routinely hop into, like a live sit and go tournament, there was a waiting room, people could sign up and hop in, and okay, we've got 8 people, let's get this tournament on a roll. Or there was, the challenge stuff, maybe you can, ante up 2000 DEC and wager against your opponent, or do, like we do the battle royale, if you could put some antes on the line, something like that, just where you had that consistent ability to play on even ground. I feel like ranked being overhauled completely, and receiving that 180-degree turn would be much more tolerable.
Yeah, if there's like those kind of like said those tournaments where you could just hop in and do a tournament, um, I think that would be a lot of fun, you know, because the way the tournament systems are now, I struggle to be able to have like consistently like, oh yeah, I'm gonna remember to set these teams. Like, you know, there's always something. I mean, I got young kids at home, I got work, you know, we travel around a bunch too, and so it's kind of like feel like I'm always on the go, and it's hard to be able to, like, I can get like one day of a tournament in, or I'll miss the first day and be like, oh crap, you know, I can't. No, now I'm out, or I'll do really well the first day, and then the second day I'm like, oh, I can't, forgot to do it, or busy, you know. So it's kind of hard the way that it's broken up. But yeah, if there's something like that where you could just jump in and do a tournament, I know if I knew like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just play for the next hour, you know, tonight, then yeah, that'd be something that would be awesome to do. So yeah, I mean, you know, hopefully we'll get some of that stuff. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, it does kind of feel like that ship has sailed, and Matt has kind of definitely shut that down and is just not interested in revisiting the league
Well,
caps and ranks.
I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, I wouldn't quite say that yet. I think it's a matter of we definitely owe it to him to at least see if it works at this point. You know, it's been how many seasons? Let's get the moving parts in place and give it a fair shot. Let's see if it actually balances out to how it's supposed to. And if it does, great. Um, you know, I don't see how it will, but if it does, great. I'd love to be wrong about this whole thing, and it turns into this really amazing experience for people at all levels. But if it doesn't, I really hope that Matt is open to saying, you know what, we tried for a while. It's not appealing to people of all leagues to be like this. Let's go back, but let's go back in a way that we fix things that weren't working with the old system. That's my hope anyway. You know, again, I'd love to see it work and like surprise me and surprise all of us who are just like, I don't like it. But if it doesn't, I would love to hope that Matt's open to bringing it back. And he has opened the door at the town halls. You know, he said, hey, if everyone really wants the leagues back, write a proposal. He said that. Those were his exact words about that exact thing. So while the proposal isn't, you know, binding in stone, it at least would let him know that, yeah, you know, if enough people voted for this, he'd think about it, at least seriously think about it. So
yeah, hey, I mean, there's no greater gauge of community sentiment than, you know, millions of dollars of SPS saying, hey, we want this to happen.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
is it, you know, that's the thing though, too, is, I mean, it's like you said before, Jimmy, it's it's affecting the smaller play. Like the people in Champ, I don't want to say they don't care, because I think, you know, there are a lot of people like you guys who are engaged with the community and understand. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know everybody who's a big SPS holder, and so I don't know. Are there people, you know, who have a bunch of SPS who like play in Champ and say, you know what, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. You know, why would I vote for this? So, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think there's a reasonable commitment to, you know, what Jimmy just alluded to, where a lot of folks are saying, we want to see how this pans out. We want to give Matt the benefit of the doubt, and you know, we trust that this is the first stepping stone in a long line of stones that's going to take us to a place where gameplay and fun and entertainment and reward are all improved across the board for everybody. So I think a lot of folks in that camp, you know, maybe they disagree with the current iteration, but they agree to the longer term vision that things are going to pan out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely think that. I hope
Yeah.
that I hope we do go back to it. I'm certainly, you know, I just got my Lorcus up to level 3, and I'm gonna keep it there. I'm not maxing it out, but I am still getting the summoners and you know, getting them up to gold level, and for like brawls and tournament stuff too. So yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I honestly think when you think of this game, to there's almost this dichotomy going on where it's not that, it's more of a balance, I would say, where you have to have this incentive to max out everything and play at the top. You want people to want that and strive for that, right? And this goes back to what we were saying before, incentivizing as opposed to forcing. but I think it's equally, if not more important, to have the bronze level and the entry level players experience be even better. Like you want people to be super comfortable, super engaged, and having a shitload of fun at bronze 3 when they jump in there and they get out of novice and they're like, all right, what's this all about? You want that entry level to be addictive and engaging, and you want tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people existing comfortably at that level. You want
Jimmy, it's almost like you're saying if I have a shit time in bronze or silver, I'm gonna see the light at the end of the tunnel with a $10,000 price tag saying champ promises a better experience, and I'm gonna go against my instincts that bronze and silver suck, but champ is wonderful, and take the plunge.
No, you want to say everything's wonderful. And you know what? I'm going to work my ass off to move up. Like I know some players in our guild, in the Team Possible guild, who have literally started with nothing over the course of years and built these like max decks, by earning and by playing, and literally worked up through the ranks. That's possible. That was always part of the mantra of the game, that whole peace, prosperity, freedom thing. It's literally about bringing opportunity to people who might not otherwise have it in certain countries and certain economic situations and stuff. And that's part of what got me really into the game and the philosophy of the game.
Yeah. I think we'll get there. I think we'll get
there.
there.
Yeah, I think it's important. This past hour we've been, talking about a lot of things that have been kind of rubbing us the wrong way. I mean, I don't think we're really complaining. I think we're kind of just, talking about how this
shooting the breeze, man.
Yeah,
a steady breeze with a little bit of a sting on it, but it's healthy.
Exactly.
All right, it's my fault.
A little chill to the air. No, but it's important to realize, like, also state that I think the game is awesome. Matt's done amazing things. I mean, what he's created and what the community's created is a freaking amazing game that's been around for 6 years in the crypto space. There's a tremendous amount of positive stuff that kind of gets overlooked, and we're just going through some growing pains right now. There was a lot of shit that went down that literally Matt had nothing to do with. He had been vocal in town halls where he's like, man, it frustrates and angers me to have watched this for so long without being able to change course, So, and now he's stuck with damage control and fixing that, and he gets a lot of the focus of negativity as it's being his fault when it literally wasn't his fault at all. And he voluntarily stepped into this really, really hard situation to do what he can to save everything. And I think there's enough stuff in place. There's enough people involved, and the game itself and the economy that's being built and is built is definitely strong enough to rebound, once the dust does settle. I think anyway. I think that the potential of this game to really take off and really get where we all know it can be that's not gone. I think it's there, and the foundation is just getting stronger. There will be some trial and error at this point as they figure out what works. And that's, kind of sucks going through it in real time, but that's where it is. And that's where we're at.
I mean, there's a reason that old cliche, don't shoot the messenger, exists, right? And unfortunately for Matt, he is the messenger of a lot of these decisions that are going to be painful and potentially polarizing for folks who have grown accustomed to and have grown a fondness for the way things were. Well, unfortunately, it's not sustainable, and I'm still firmly in Camp Matt, and I believe in where he's trying to take this thing. I just we're also trying to get all of these things accomplished with a very small team that's resource strapped. And we had Cryptomancer on last week, and he was talking about a whole shit ton of stuff that they're working on. And there's all these proposals going on, and there's different game modes being talked about. But in the meantime, it's until we see these things bear fruit, it's going to be painful, and it's going to be not quite fully satisfactory for a lot of the folks that are maybe lesser than in terms of not playing champ with max cards.
And we're on a timer right now too. We have the stress of like the ticking clock with an impending bull run happening. So there's that. I think
let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. So we've heard the last couple of town halls. Matt has mentioned in passing and somewhat a little bit more out in the open called out runway as being a concern, and maybe needing to lean on the DAO for support. I kind of hear that stuff and I think of traditional Matt. He's been very conservative. Is he going to start ringing alarm bells when we've got 18 months of runway left? I mean, is that a time frame that you guys think where we'll start to hear the sirens and see the flags coming up, or do you feel like he's going to wait until things are much more dire and hey, we've got to act now, sort of thing?
No, I think him taking over was literally trying to avoid waiting to that last minute. In the past we knew that there were, the philosophy was, oh, bull run's going to kick in and we're going to be fine. And it's like Matt's whole point is we have to assume there's never going to be a bull run, and we're not going to be. How can we survive if there's never a bull run and Bitcoin goes to freaking $100? That's how we have to look at this. So I think he'll start asking for things and ringing alarm bells way before it's like, dude, if we don't do this now, we're gone. That's just my belief from what I know about him. The little that I do know and what I've observed for 4 years now or 5 years is I don't think he'll let it get to that point before he asks. I also know that the Hive DAO does have a budget for such things, so I would love to see them ask Hive for help before going to the Splinterlands DAO, personally.
Yeah, we talked with Azakron a little bit about that. Yeah, that'd be great to see. I know this was brought up in one of the town halls where someone had suggested that Matt reach out to the Hive DAO for funding to do the validator nodes, because it would kind of help create Splinterlands as a layer 2 blockchain on the Hive blockchain, which would be good visibility and good kind of marketing for Hive. And he said, I know Matt, my recollection was that said that he couldn't even get the SPS DAO to vote to fund it, so he wasn't sure he would be able to get the Hive DAO to vote to fund it. But so I don't know if he ever actually did that or reached out to them or looked into that. But yeah, no, that would be kind of cool if they could kind of step in and help out some.
Yeah. I mean, Matt's mentioned, I know in town halls, he said it seems that the SPS DAO is unwilling to help, and I don't think that's true at all. I mean, promo cards, they were asking he was literally asking, hey, burn 200 grand that you don't get back. No, that's not going to work. I'm sure, when they asked for help for Rebellion, the DAO stepped in and said, hell yeah. Yeah, you need money.
Overwhelming, yes.
And then we split the funds. Absolutely. Yeah, overwhelming, because it wasn't just asking the DAO to burn funds. I think a lot of people in the DAO see it as you don't touch this. This isn't just, bull runs might be different. And if we're doing great and we could fund a couple little side projects here and there that actually grow the DAO, I'm sure at that point in time, that might be an option. Right now, with things where they are, the DAO is kind of like it's a sealed vault that's supposed to also be a safety net, that it's
the rainy day fund.
Yeah, like an emergency fund, not just rainy day, but like emergency fund.
Yeah.
That's what I see. And they're not going to squander that. And if the proposals for help are mutually beneficial, I mean, obviously it's mutually beneficial if Splinterlands does well, then, the DAO, they're tied that way. But I mean, mutually beneficial financially, where if the DAO is going to contribute funds to help the Splinterlands company, we both get something out of it financially. The DAO and the company both, it's a win-win in that regard. It's not, and we help Splinterlands, which helps the DAO indirectly, but we're out 200 grand in stables. That's not going to pass.
I also want to say, so Matt in one breath states that it doesn't look like the DAO is, chomping at the bit to help the team, which I don't think is, it's objectively false. Yeah. It's objectively false. If Matt came with a proposal and said, hey, we're in dire straits, we need funds from the DAO to pay salaries and keep lights on for the next 6 months, I think at the drop of the hat, all of the big DAO stakeholders would say yes. Like, here, if the game dies, the DAO has no purpose. So if this is our last shot, let's throw the Hail Mary and make it happen. and we haven't seen that sort of request from Matt. It was sort of a roundabout way of, okay, let's burn these tokens. You know, we're going to accept DEC, and everything's going to get evaporated, and it's going to, you know, exactly that, in a roundabout way, benefit the ecosystem and therefore the team. But there's never been a, you know, A to B direct line of request saying, hey, you know, this is our financial situation, we need help, will you guys sign off on it? Because I have to think, you know, Dave and Azarcon specifically, they downvoted initially the Binance listing because it was going to disintegrate all of the DAO's
The funds would have been gone.
money.
That was a Hail Mary. That's a Hail Mary. You know, it's
Well,
like if it's true and it makes SPS go to $1, it could pump and dump like they're saying, or it could be a permanent pump. Who knows? But that was a total roll of the dice, and it would
and a
have
very
depleted
expensive.
the DAO. That's the
Yeah.
thing. It was super expensive. Now we're seeing that Binance is launching that program where they're trying to get smaller projects listed with, you know, at a much cheaper or free rate.
Yeah.
So I understand there's people looking into that right now. So there's options right there.
Yeah.
Again, the Hive DAO is something that should be tapped, man. Hive is, you know, Splinterlands is Hive's biggest project. They'd be crazy if they have funds to not help out Splinterlands if they ask. I honestly don't think they've asked. From what I understand, it's not like they're going to the Hive DAO and saying, please give us, you know, help us out, and they're saying no. I might be wrong there, but from what I understand, we've just never even approached them.
I don't think we've ever asked. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
we've ever asked.
Yeah, because you would think that if they had a proposal out, that they would let everybody know.
Well, we all have
people
Hive
to
accounts.
go for it,
We,
right?
we,
Yeah,
we can
right.
all vote for
Oh,
those
yeah.
proposals on Hive too.
Oh yeah, and if you don't, have you set a proxy for your Hive voting?
I have.
Mhm.
Yeah, I put Yabba Matt years ago because I don't
Yeah.
follow the Hive stuff. I know he's a witness. I'm like, you know, my logic is he's probably going to vote for what's best for Splinterlands when he does Hive voting. So I set Matt as my proxy for Hive voting a long time ago.
Well, I mean, you know, the fact that we haven't seen any of these things tells me that our runway is still healthy enough to where we don't
Yeah.
have to sound those alarms.
Mhm.
But I do find it interesting that Matt has, you know, he hasn't come out and directly said, hey, you know, we're on our last gasp of air here, we need help.
Yeah.
But he's
think
also
he'll
kind
ask
of like
before we get there.
alluded to, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this also comes down to a couple things, I think. The company has, and again, this is just hopefully constructive criticism, and it's a learning process. They have to learn to price things right. The last 3 promo cards, I think, were just insanely overpriced. You know, we saw that with Zerial, and then we saw it with
But
the last.
Jimmy, it had to match the Bitcoin halving, bro.
We'll throw another number there. Throw another decimal down there or something. I don't know. It did have to match the halving. Oh, and Nate, if Nate, you're listening to this, I still have a beef with you for calling it the henchling enforcer instead of the halfling enforcer. Like, is it too late to change the name? Why isn't it it's literally a halfling character and it's the halving. We had the halfling alchemist last time. Nate, can you change it to the halfling enforcer? Is it too late? Come on,
Let us know,
Jimmy.
Nate. Let us know, Nate.
Come on.
No, but
Mr.
you're absolutely right,
there.
man. Like Zerial, I felt like I was willing to give the team a pass. You know, they tried it. It was a cool card. It was a cool concept. It was brand new for being the first dual element card in the game, and we hadn't had a promo card in a while. But at that point in time, we had just had Archimist, we had just had Vruz. So I was willing to, like, you know, give it a pass in terms of, yeah, they messed up the pricing. But then we saw this. Then we saw Baron Fiat and the Henchling, and the pricing is just absurd, man. Like, I'm not going to be paying
max rare.
Yeah, I'm not paying $3 a plus a piece for a rare promo card. In my mind, the legendary should be exclusive. The rare card should be for everybody. Let's just get as many people that are willing to support the project this rare card as a reward for supporting the project. And if you've got the means to the end of you know, attaining the elusive exclusive legendary card, then go right ahead, and we can price that wherever we want.
Price that right. Yeah, it's all a balance. There should be things that are really expensive and exclusive. You know, there absolutely should be. There definitely, but there should also be things that everyone in the community has the means to participate in. And it's finding that balance. That's something the team has struggled with, I think, and hopefully they will figure it out at some point, you know. Um,
Yeah,
the
you'd think they would at
problem,
least want to try it. I mean, Ruse was Ruse um was that the one that was given out to SPS stake
Yes.
people who had staked SPS? Okay, so yeah, we got like airdrops, but I just feel like even like on the secondary market, right? Like the cost was, I think a lot of them were given out. The cost was pretty reasonable, and I feel like a lot of people bought them. So if it was like if something priced similarly, yeah, like why not just take a shot? And even like you said earlier with how, and I completely agree with this 100%. If their packs were $2, I would buy a bunch more packs. I buy
right.
a Rebellion pack every once in a while. I actually just bought a couple. Interesting enough, I think I just bought like three yesterday. And but like yeah, if they were $2, I'd probably spend more money.
Exactly.
Oh,
That's the whole
if they were
point.
$2, it's like that psychological sort of price point thing where you're just like, it
Yeah.
feels so cheap. Like, yeah, I'll take a shot that I'm gonna get, a legendary or a gold foil that, will make that um pack, you know what I mean? Make the value of that pack back, or I'd be
Right.
at the cost of the pack if I were to resell it, if I resold all the cards.
And it's
Yeah.
healthy too. It's not like it would be flooding the market with cards, because right now where there's a lack of rebellion. A lot of people. I'm out there playing. You see a lot of times you're facing decks that do not have maxed rebellion cards.
Yeah.
You see that little bar on top, which I hated at first, and now I kind of like being able to see at a glance. That
Whether
little
you're used to it,
what
yeah.
level it is. But no, I'm
Well,
just
be
seeing
be
that. It's like,
careful. Be
oh,
careful saying that, Jimmy. The
because now
powers
Nate
that
will change
be.
it just to spite me. No, that's another thing I want to say, man. The team has been really good. Those guys, especially the UX guys and Lily Fire and Loyal Eagle,
Yes.
and all those guys have been really listening and paying attention, especially in the UX channel. And there have been a ton of these just little fixes and little quality of life improvements
Yeah.
every update. You're just like, ooh, this works better now. Ooh, this is faster. Ooh, this is a better interface. Ooh, this bug is fixed. There's been a lot of that.
Man,
So it's
I
going
cannot
on.
I cannot say that enough. I feel like you and I see your name uh pretty much every time I go into the UX channel to drop something. There's a couple of other folks that are routinely in there kind of, offering thoughts and insights and providing something for a wish list. And man, shout out to Lily Fire. She is absolutely awesome. I think every single update, she circles back to every single request previously,
Yeah,
from the
he's
two
on
weeks
fire.
prior and says, yeah, she is rad, man. She says, hey, this was fixed. This is, kind of waiting in the wings for development at XYZ
Mhm.
date. This is fixed, enjoy. It's so
Yeah.
cool to have that very quick feedback loop and actually see action on the stuff that we're putting out there.
They're kicking ass. It's hard to see, but there is a lot that's happening behind the scenes right now. It really is, and it's these little things are going to all add up. I feel like it's one day we're going to turn around and things are going to be we're going to have a different game, different interface. I'm waiting for Battles 2.0. I remember Nate saying there were animations made for all the chaos cards. I don't know if it was all of them or most of them. It's like, and I'm just waiting for that day where I go to fight and they're just sitting there bouncing in their ready position, and the animations were put into place without them telling us it was coming. Nate, it happened one day, right? But no,
Come
Yeah.
on,
yeah,
Jimmy.
it's coming, Jimmy. Yeah, but no, I think that's the type of things we're going to see because I'm seeing that happen on much smaller, levels. Every nook and cranny of the game is being overhauled right now, and that's going to add up to a big picture at some point.
I think that's the problem, right? Like we're kind of the frog in the boiling pot. We just don't notice that all these things are happening around us. But if we look back 3 months ago, 4 months ago, there's been a lot of updates. Like there's been a
Yeah.
lot of like little tweaks and yeah, just minor adjustments here and there. And in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot. But when it gets trickled in, piece by piece, and we're getting piecemealed with all this development update, we don't really
Mhm.
notice it as much. So yeah, shout out to the support team. Shout out to the devs for continuing to deliver on that stuff. But let's circle back to the pricing stuff. So packs going down to $2, or I feel like common cards requiring 400 BCX is a little crazy. Uh, so is it one of those things that needs to change, or both of those things?
No, I think BCX is pretty good, and that would be best to remain consistent. They changed that for alpha. They were experimenting. Then they changed it for beta. Beta had 505 BCX to max a common, and that was too crazy. Then they settled in, to the 400. I think the numbers are fine. It's just got to match the pricing. Like I remember Untamed scooping up cards at 0.005 cents, or commons. Right now we're seeing Rebellion. There's am I right to say 17 cent, 20 cent commons on some of those guys, right? Which is insane. Like look at some of the or am I thinking just
No, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
the non-attack water is
yeah,
25
water,
cents
the
a
life
piece.
guy, the lurker, the earth guy, the lurker.
The
He's
puffer, the puff.
Puffer. There you go. Puffer. He's consistently, 16 to 20 cents.
Yeah.
Those are pricey, and that comes down to $4 packs. It comes down to it costs a lot. I mean, Jesus, what's that I'm going to make an assumption here. Like when you open a pack of cards, there's only one of you never get doubles when you open one pack, right? There's always 5 different cards.
I think
Right?
so.
I believe so. I've never noticed there ever being.
Yeah, I
double
never
or
noticed the
one,
double
so.
there. So what is that? 400
Well,
divided by 5.
when you hear people do the calculations of I need to buy 4,000 packs of this new set to max everything, a lot of that
Yeah.
is commons,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
just so many commons to max out. If there's 20 different common cards, 400 BCX a piece, that's what's
Oh,
the
yeah.
quick math there?
You
Eight
have to
grand.
open
You need
400. I mean,
8,000.
you need 400 packs to get a common, and
Yeah,
that's if there's one in every pack. The same
and
one that you're
that's
trying to get.
1,600 bucks just for the
Yeah, right.
commons. Yeah.
Right. When you start looking at gold foils and prices and stuff, the price balances out a little more, but it's still, I think $4 is too much, and I think it's too much to ask. And I think it's also going to be a price wall that will turn people away. We have to look at when we do get eyes on the game. What happens when the game is in a good spot and we start advertising with the right people to the right places? I like hearing what Matt said. He wants to get crypto savvy Web3 marketers, who just know how to target our demographic. I think that's freaking great. When that happens, we want to be ready. We don't want people looking at the game and saying, "Oh, I can't afford that." Like it's got to be. I don't want it to be free. You don't want to be giving things away, but I honestly think that the $4 packs is too much. It was a mistake made in the bull run. They priced Chaos Legion at $4. I know a couple of projects at that time who way overpriced their packs at that exact same time, and it killed them. It was a bull run. They got crazy. They got a little greedy. They're like, "Oh, we're doubling or tripling the price of our packs," and then they didn't sell anything. They literally killed their project. And we
Poor
had so much
timing.
pre-sale. Yeah, yeah. And they stuck with it again for Rebellion, I think, because they said, well, now we go up, we can't go down. But I don't agree with that. Some people argue that going back down devalues the cards that people spent $4 a pack on. I don't think that's realistic. I think thing, but
Tell me, Jimmy, what is the argument where a subsequent set being marketed at and sold as $2 a pack, how is that going to have any bearing on Rebellion prices? I can't connect
I
those
think the
dots.
bearing would be Rebellion would be even higher priced in the long run. There's going to be fewer of them. They're going to be rarer, and they were more cost to get. I think that would just push the Rebellion price higher. Is what it comes down
Yeah.
to.
And the argument that we don't want to devalue Chaos Legion anymore by having Rebellion be cheaper. Like, well, you were selling
Is that
these
possible?
Yeah, no, Chaos Legion is
Right.
Yeah.
But they were like at first they were selling for $4, right? But then they were selling those bulk deals and all the specials
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. They were always selling them for lower anyway. So it was
That's
like,
a good point. The holiday
know,
deal for like dollar packs or something
yeah,
crazy.
and then
They were
there's so
$1.
many packs in the market for like 80 cents still. It's like you're never going to get those packs back up to $4 or above $4. Like let's just,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I think fixing it and shooting for $2 would be a really smart move moving forward. That's my $2. I want my $2. What was that? Better Off Dead. You guys remember that? Old enough for that movie?
I don't remember
Better
that
off
line.
dead.
Oh
No.
my God. You guys got to
Is,
go watch that.
is
It was
that
like an
John
80s.
Cusack?
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. 80s classic. Go watch it within the next couple nights. There's that little biker newspaper delivery guy that was just following him around who would always show up in the weirdest places to collect his $2. I want my $2. But I want my $2. But yeah, I just think that would be a smart move to just correct things instead of just digging the heels in and saying, nope, we went to $4. That's it. I think it would be a wise move to at least consider, going back to $2 packs.
Well, maybe it's one of those things where I think Rebellion set the very powerful precedent of the DAO is going to hire Splinterlands to build the sets on a moving forward basis. And we were present. I'd be surprised if we ever got as juicy of an offer as we did for Rebellion. I think we footed the bill for 250K, and we're getting 50% of all the packs plus whenever there's a daily burn, we get a percentage of the packs that should get burned moved to the DAO.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we'll ever get that juicy of a deal, but we will be presented with the offer to hire the team, and I think we can go back and say, hey, we think there's more value in offering these packs for $2. Let's adjust the terms to reflect that. And I think last time we just kind of said yes, let's go for it. It was a huge yes. It was a sweetheart deal. But I think moving forward, we've got the benefit of hindsight at this point, and I think there's a lot of value in what you're saying, man. $2 packs would be a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, just looking ahead, when we have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, what's going to generate more revenue and what's going to be a better situation for everybody, without saturating the market. If a pack for 50 cents, that would be ridiculous. That would be stupid.
Yeah.
There'd be way too many cards. It's finding that sweet spot of people are happy to spend and you're not buying too many. You're not minting too many cards.
Yeah, I mean, even because also, at $2, I think that's a price point too, where you might get people to buy, packs on speculation, right? I don't know how many people are buying and holding Rebellion packs.
Yeah.
But yeah, you might buy like, hey, I'll throw $100 or $2 in to buy, maybe I'll buy 100 packs and sit on them and see if I can turn that into, $250, something like that.
Right, maybe they'll help fund the next edition.
Yeah, exactly. So
we'll get that Dakota summoner. Shout out Dakota.
I want to see that. Well, I hope this Matt summoner thing passes too. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. What I haven't really kept my ear to the ground on that, but there was definitely some steam growing around that idea, huh?
Yeah, I didn't dig in yet. I haven't scrutinized the proposal, but I think there's some details that need to be worked out. But I'd really love to see it happen. Kind of a nice little tribute to Matt, and hopefully either generate some extra revenue for the company or burn some stuff, whatever they decide on. But I think it's a good idea, regardless of how it pans out.
Yeah, I quickly want to call out, and I think we've all been pretty vocal in our support for Matt, not just this episode, but in most episodes. But God damn it, the some of the messages in Discord are so bloody discouraging and disheartening around just the absolute vitriolic nonsense that's thrown at Matt, and he responds with like a very heartfelt, almost defeated message of, I feel so badly about the folks that have lost some money. If you feel like there's somebody who's better suited for the job, I'll happily step aside and like, oh, come on, man. Like we gotta get past this flinging poo at people.
Yeah. Especially him. And I think it goes back to, he stepped into a situation to save everything. He wasn't the guy who got us into this situation. He was, from what I understand, trying to steer the ship in a different direction long before it got where it is. And he just, had the courage to step in and say, all right, if I don't do this, no one else is gonna, and I'm gonna do this. He's gonna be stepped into a position he doesn't want to
He
do.
doesn't even want to.
I wouldn't want to be the CEO. Being CEO sucks. Like he said in the last town hall, he's had most of his days spent talking to lawyers and doing all this bullshit. I'm like
He
that
just
with my
wants to design a fun game.
You're right. He wants to do what he's good at, man. And being a CEO is a different skill set and a different mindset. I mean, I spend half my freaking day doing emails and answering, dealing with customers and filling out forms for the city or whatever the hell I got to do. Literally half your day is gone. You look up, you're like, God damn it, I got to get into the shop and do what I want to do and what I'm good at. It's easy to get caught up in all the paperwork and all the bullshit that it takes to run a company. And I could see like that he's waiting for the day he would love to hand it off. Where we get into a better financial situation. They hire someone that they like, who loves the game and really wants to take that role to be CEO. I could, I'd imagine he's waiting for that to happen, and so he could get back to doing what he loves and really dive into land and all that stuff.
And I just don't get trying to beat up on Matt. Like if you just don't care and you just want to be a troll and burn everything down, then I guess it makes sense. But
There are some of those out there.
Yeah. But to the extent that like you want to like get something out of these assets you have, like the day Matt gets fed up with all your bullshit and just walks away, the day probably like the game dies and people are just like, this is the bad sign.
Assets
like we're all
to the
getting
floor.
out, right? Like so like it's very self-defeating to
Well, I feel there's some people who are actually trying to do that from what it seems like. That they're literally saying, hey, I lost money on Chaos Legion, so I just want to burn it all down. That's what it seems like anyway. When you read some of these messages and stuff, you have to think like, what are your motivations here? And that's the impression I get from some people.
Yeah, I do love seeing Matt take a bigger role in Discord. And, in response to that and in defense of the community, there were a lot of folks that came to, show that very open and vocal support for, what Yaba and the team are doing. And, hey, just, the haters are going to hate, just, put the blinders on and press on. And then obviously this Matt promo card was kind of born as a result of that. So, there's some positive stuff that is floating around, but it's the negative stuff that gets the headlines, unfortunately. And, it mirrors real life there.
And it's tough to deal with. I mean, you remember Aggro's old business card where it was that giant orc with the armor on and just arrows sticking out of him. And he's bloodied and beat up. He always said part of his role was just, taking the abuse of the community. And it's a tough spot to be in.
Let's shift gears here. Let's talk about some fun shit. Lorcas.
Lorcas.
Man,
I just told you I couldn't find Lorcas half the time because I'm looking under fire. I'm like, where the hell is he? I'm like, I'm checking. He's in my account. I want to play him, and then the clock's ticking. I'm like, shit. Let me just pick this guy, and then it turns out he's in death.
His rightful position. Rightful position.
Yeah.
Well, man, I gotta say it is. Since I've joined the game, it is the best summoner that's been available in any of the sets that I've played. And, I've rented Kitty, I've rented the Llamas, I've rented the Valnomores, and those cards are fun.
Bold statement.
But it's about to get more bold. I will say that Lorcas is by far and away the most fun summoner in the game. Just having the ability more man, bastard. Well, okay, so I will put an asterisk on that. When I can play Dallin to great effect, it's a lot of fun because nobody expects it, and everybody's like, "Oh man, I just got beat by Dallin." I know what the response is. But yeah, having the ability to call that audible at the time of the game, it just changes everything, man. And the way that you're able to construct pretty much, multiple strategies in the game or in your team, in your lineup, and then call the audible if you've got, a big taunting tank on the other side, or, there's some juicy life leech opportunities. I think Lorcas is absolutely changes the game and really turns the page for Rebellion to be the cornerstone of what Modern's going to look like moving forward. These summoners are badass, man. I'm super excited, and Lorcus is cream of the crop. It's going to be tough to deliver a summoner that's more fun than Lorcus. I think the team will do a good job of making me eat those words, but for now, Lorcus takes the cake, man. So much fun.
Wow, that's awesome.
We find out in less than a month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Do you so you will have you played? I don't think I've played it yet with using the Fury or the Trample. I've kind of always gone for the life leech is really the big thing I'm looking for with him.
Oh, life leech is huge, man. I got my rage up to like 45 health the other day or something.
Even
That's
just with, like
absurd.
with blight, like with blight,
65 health.
wow,
Wait.
65.
65. I'll show you the screenshot when we're done.
That's
Nice.
absurd. How do you beat that?
You don't.
Yeah, I
won.
feel like that there's got to be a new ability to counter these massive life leech, like something akin to Giant Killer, where because Grimbar Dune can get up there too. Now, if you tack on like a melee weapons training and a magic weapons training, he's just going to be, sucking life the entire time, and by the time he gets to the front, absolutely massive. How do you beat that guy? But yeah, I don't think I've used the Fury and Trample. Okay, that's a lie. I did use Fury and Trample in the silver YGG tournament because Venka doesn't have Trample in the lower leagues. So I feel like that's a really valuable tactic to have available in the smaller leagues. But one of the most fun use cases that I found for Lorcus is poison matches. All of a sudden you don't have to just rely on immunity. You can toss in some magic guys that are, maybe a little bit more glass cannon, like the Jin Inferni or something, who's going to be taking 3 health every time. And he's just able to self-sustain while dropping magic bombs through the life leech.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy liked that one.
I do like that.
That's
what's also.
Yeah.
No, go.
I was gonna say I was doing that with blight too, because it's like just with the scavenge and that it's like kind of just enough to keep them alive.
Yeah, blight, man. I don't understand how people are writing blight off. I'm gonna call it that battle royale a couple of months ago where everybody was telling me blight is dead, blight's not valuable.
Dude,
Yeah,
Blight's
nonsense.
badass.
Blight
He's
is still one of the best cards in the game.
He's going to be a staple in Wild for sure. And yeah, especially tactics changes everything, man. It's an evolution of the game. It's something they've been wanting to do forever. It was the whole reason Land came into existence, was to craft these cards, these items and spells, to add another layer of gameplay, and to give that, I mean, they could have introduced packs of items and spells years ago, and just sold us packs and just threw it in there. But they wanted it to be a community crafting thing. And then that brings us on to a whole nother thing, like the whole land rabbit hole is adds a whole nother another topic altogether, a whole nother discussion.
We got prefix titles. We got prefix titles.
No, it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
I'm almost of the, like, at this point, I'm looking at, everything we've been saying and limited resources and all this stuff. And I posted something a couple days in I forget, might have been Mav Chat or something, where I was just like, man, they should just start crafting, not should, but like an option. Like, we could get items and spells sooner. Matt's vision for Land, I think we might not actually see it for years with how it's going to be. And then with all of these 50 different resources and buildings that you have to level up and storage and all this stuff, it's this grand vision that once it's working, it might be absolutely phenomenal, but it's going to take so long to get there. We need items and spells before that, not just from like tactics on summoners and these in the card game, but why not just on a very basic level, start with like production points on a plot. You hit a certain level, you hit this X many production points, you can craft an NFT. You could say, all right, I'm going to spend this much DEC or this many vouchers or whatever the cost is to do it, or grain or whatever metric you work out to deal with the resources we have on Land right now that are, we're in an overabundance because there's no real use for them. Research tokens, who knows? Maybe research tokens will craft a magic item or something, but have a handful of items and spells that people on land can craft right now. You know, your production points hits this level, X amount for common, X amount for rare, X amount for an epic, X amount for legendary, and you just press mint and you're going to get like one of 5 things or, you know, whatever, just to get it going and get it in the game and to suck up some of these extra resources. And, you know, it could be rare, it could be scarce. We don't have to flood the market with them, but I think we could add that metric sooner rather than waiting for the entirety of land being built out to craft these things.
It's a super interesting idea of bringing in like the consumable item ASAP. You know, maybe we could even do it for, you know, you burn SPS or you burn DEC.
Oh yeah, or yeah, whatever it is. You could even have different tokens burn different things, you know, or different levels, you know, like a magic research tokens. You want to craft a sword or a weapon or something, you have to burn DEC. You want to craft something else, you have to burn SPS, or it could be a combination of everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's really not, I don't want to say low-hanging fruit because you have to develop the items, but it's something we're working towards with tactics and having that, you know, second level of gameplay that's already being built in. That's there, you know. They would just have to get that next level up.
Well, I
think it's obtainable.
Yeah, I think Aftersound dropped a video the other day. I think he was proposing something along the lines of like
Scarecrow.
The Scarecrow, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a consumable card, a consumable monster that you can play one time, like Divine Shield, 1 health, 0 attack. It's simply like the new chicken, pretty much, with a Divine Shield. And it's consumable.
And it comes from land. Yeah.
Yeah. And that sort of thing would just get sucked up in a heartbeat. Like that's absolutely invaluable. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think if you make it consumable, you're getting a lot harder for player. You know, we have to look at what's going to happen. Like seriously, we want to have 100,000 players jumping in out of nowhere. You know, we want that to be happening. We want to make that as easy as possible. Consumables might make that even more challenging to do. You know, if we hit that, I'm not against consumables by any means. You know, if it can make it work and make it easy, great. I mean, I'd rather see it more like, you know, cards like we have now, where you have, you know, 400 BCX for a common and you can level that thing up and it's permanent. But, you know, either way, you know, again, I'm not like saying it has to be this way, but I'm just thinking of ease of entry into the system, less coding, you know, all that stuff. How do we make it work sooner rather than later, where land starts producing things we could actually use?
Did you catch that video, Hepper?
I did, but that's a cool idea. I definitely like that. Yeah.
Scarecrow. I like the name, and it's appropriate for lands.
Yeah, it was a really good creative idea for sure. And then he could write a song. Scarecrow. Yeah, playing my Scarecrow. I'm sounding my Scarecrow. Yeah.
Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy Scarecrow. Ooh, Jimmy Scarecrow. There you go.
Jimmy Scarecrow, yeah.
Jimmy Scarecrow.
Well, fun stuff, man. I think there's a lot of opportunities, and you know, to kind of circle back to what we were talking about earlier with the proposal stuff. I feel like there's so many good voices that, you know, regardless of SPS stake size, I feel like people are a little bit trigger shy to putting a proposal out there for fear of just immediately getting shut down. And I would encourage those folks who maybe don't, you know, feel comfortable reaching across the aisle and playing the politics, put that proposal in you know, somebody's Discord that is comfortable or has those connections. You know, we set up the People's Guild Discord a couple of weeks back, and we've got a little channel where we're trying to streamline some of these proposals, and we've got some whales in there. Yaba's in there.
It's been great because it's constructive. There's no noise.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's an idea. What do you think? And all these people chime in and you get opposing views and you get support, and it's kind of what Mav used to
be.
Yeah, literally before all the noise and salt. Like, you know, now you can't even jump in any of those big Discord rooms. Any idea, it's just, you know, shot down or salty. And, you know, this is a place where people can actually talk and be constructive and have conversations about things and present opposing viewpoints and point out flaws in something without being a dick about it, or just work together to actually make something that's actually a good thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
agreed.
oh, is it a cabal? Oh my God, is this a cabal room?
Do we make one?
Do we
Is that
make a
us?
cabal? Let's look up the definition
We're
of
gonna have to edit
cabal.
this out of the podcast.
See what
If
this
it
is.
is, right? Yeah.
No, let's dig in. Let's take it one step further and say if you want to contribute to the cabal, shoot Jimmy, Hep, or myself an idea, Google Doc, whatever, and we'll take it
Dave
and run with it.
McCoy. Let's throw Dave McCoy at it.
Or
'Cause he's
Dave Azarcon. Yeah.
throw
Just put it
ideas at
out
Dave
there.
McCoy. He loves that.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Cool,
Yeah.
man. Well, so what else is going on, man? I feel like we just ran through a bit of the gamut of what the haps is around Pretoria at the moment. What else
I
is
wanted to
kinda...
touch on the kind of the artwork that they showed for kind of the new game walkthrough. I didn't get a chance.
What is this? What are you talking about?
For in the town hall.
The new game walkthrough.
The onboarding tutorial images that were shown.
Was it the that weird dude, kind of wizard looking?
Yeah, there's like a
type guy.
Bird that gets attacked by a hawk, and then there's like a
yes,
guy going through the woods, and a bear
like,
attacks him, and some elves, and there's sort of like
where they just
it almost looks like trying to check it out on the page here. Yeah, like a challenge and a battle. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it looked really cool, and I thought it looked great, and I think that's something we definitely need we've been looking for a refresh on that. So it seems like we're starting to get the artwork there at least. So,
so what?
Yeah,
Remind me again, Hep. What was the context for that artwork?
It was with
I can picture what you're saying, but I don't remember what it was.
I think Nate was just showing the eye candy, and
it was like a little leaderboard of not leaderboard, a picture board,
storyboard, like kind
storyboard of like an intro happening where you come into the game and you see this stuff, and it's showing all this like happy stuff in this field, and this little bird sitting there, and then this hawk just comes down and just grabs the bird. Like you just see this talon come and just freaking grab the bird, and he's gone. And Nate was like, "Oh my God, that's terrible!" And I think it's Call Me Tim was like coming up with the idea, and don't quote me there, but whoever's coming up with the storyline was like, no, this foreshadows what's going to be happening, and it sets the scene. And I kind of like that. I like the whole dark element to everything.
Yeah.
I just posted the message link to our little Discord there. I dug back in and found it. Yeah. Huh.
So I think it's cool. It was good to see that they're kind of working on that, and I also like to see the sort of little roadmap thing that they put up. I guess we shamed Nate into it, as he kind of said when he was on our 100th episode.
Are we taking credit for that? I'm happy to. Let's do it.
I think we should. Why not? Right.
Nice.
I mean,
all right.
we said we needed this, and he said, Matt has wanted this, and I haven't been doing it, and I really should do that. So maybe now I'll start doing it.
And then we got it.
And the next town hall, we got it. Right. So I don't see how we were not responsible for
it. Well, you totally are.
Well, you're welcome, everybody. Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the progress map.
The progress map sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. And that's something we needed. And this is, again, more the team listening. I remember once I posted something in Mavs about communication, and I think it was Nate was like, how are we not communicating? And I just wrote a paragraph or two back, and there was a little back and forth, and then all of a sudden Matt's jumping into town. And all of a sudden there's more communication happening. And it was they're listening to things.
Yeah, I think it's weird for them, right? Because I think they do communicate a lot, and they communicate way more than a lot of other projects.
Oh yeah,
probably do, right? And you always kind of have access to them, and they're responsive to these things. But it's sometimes they're either talking about big picture issues or addressing community feedback, right? And I think that kind of what we were missing is that sort of like, what are you guys actually doing on a day-to-day basis? Like, what, we talk about these things kind of in hypotheticals or how they wanted things to look or what they might be doing. You know what I mean? So, but like on a day-to-day basis, like, what are you actually doing, right? Are you doing, that's what I think, that kind of like visibility is important. So it's like, we know you're working on something, right? And we know, and instead
Yeah.
of just being like, I know they don't want to put out timelines, or they've been
I
more
think that was
hesitant
it.
to
It went
discuss
from
things.
one
Yeah.
extreme to the other. Went
Right.
from
Yeah.
like
They're
just
like, oh, this is
constantly,
coming
we're
next
doing
week, and
this,
it's
we're
not
doing this,
coming.
we want to do this, and then nothing happened. They just want to like, we're not going to tell them anything, and then we're just going to put shit out.
Yeah.
What also
Yeah.
went
But it's
from
finding the balance.
Yeah.
it's also important to call out, we had weekly town halls for years, and then we went back to bi-monthly town halls, and then we
And then you
sprinkled
miss
in
one every
the
once in a while and have it
yeah
every month, and at a time where it just felt like there was a lot of like it felt like there was a lot of urgent and pressing matters, and we were just like, what's going on? Is anything going on? So
yeah.
that it
And I
was a
feel like maybe it's just me, but I feel like the town halls have become more town square-ish than town hall has traditionally been.
Mhm.
You think back to town hall a year ago, and it was like 75% meat and potatoes from the team, 25% fielding questions from the community. Now I feel like it's probably maybe 40-60. We have maybe
Right.
30-40 minutes of content from the team, and then the rest of the time is filled with questions from the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see a little back and forth, like because sometimes the question gets asked and it doesn't really get answered, or it's like, yeah, there's a follow-up that would provide clarity or stuff. I'd love to see a scenario where there's actually a little live interaction allowed, whether it's through text or through voice or whatever.
Well, we
Which
did tell Nate, shout out to Nate for hopping onto our 100th episode a couple of weeks ago, and told him we would happily fill the void of hosting like a town square type forum for him to communicate and interact. And
that would be awesome. Even that once a month would be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Have that every month or even every 2 months or something, but a forum like that would be really cool.
well, maybe we can make it happen. I mean, we've already got Joey on a pretty regular basis hopping on, and maybe we just don't have the traction in YouTube algorithms to drive folks to the channel. But yeah, maybe we can make it official. We could be the unofficial official podcast of Nate and Co. Once a month.
Keep the round table going. That'll grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, because the thing, I feel like it is important to, I mean, at least maybe this is just how I feel personally, that it to kind of know what they're working on day to day, that things are being accomplished, and because a lot of it is sometimes the UX stuff that maybe you don't think of as big, but it's important, and maybe you don't even like notice it or see it, but it is just kind of knowing like, oh, okay, yeah, like this is, kind of what's coming out now, or like what they're working on and what's kind of in progress, and to see that sort of the vision a little bit clearer. I think it's helpful.
Well, the silence is brutal. The silence is brutal.
Yeah.
Not having any sort of communication after, maybe we're just spoiled brats, and we're just too accustomed to having, everything overly communicated. And now we've gone the polar opposite, and now we're just whinging because we don't have nearly enough. But so both
big things going on. Big things going on. We need to know.
Yeah. So we talked about the team moving away from roadmaps because of dates. The notorious for causing issue and setting expectations, and then obviously subsequent disappointment. But Matt threw out 2 dates in the last town hall. One of them I think was validators before the end of the year is pretty much guaranteed, and then there was another one coming up sooner. Do you guys remember what that was?
You said rewards cards by the end of summer, but I feel like we've kind of gotten that date's been pushed back that we've had that unofficial deadline kind of more before. So, but yeah, yeah. So
maybe it was rewards cards,
but I think it was rewards cards. Yeah.
Man, those things are long overdue. We should have had them
I really,
6 months
really,
ago.
really, really hope they do the staggered release this time. People are yelling for it. Remember that last town hall or recent town hall, Matt's like, well, no one's had a proposal for a staggered release. I'm like, well, they're not a proposal, but people are talking about it. You guys used to do that. They used to be like, here's a couple reward cards, and they'll hit a certain print rate and then phase out. And you always had this constant overlap, where you didn't even know if you weren't watching, you would not know when one card was about to go out and then another one would be introduced in its place. So there was this constantly rotating cycle of a handful of reward cards, not a full set. I think a full set all at once is too much. Like I like the idea if you've got like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 cards at one time coming out, and then one of them will suddenly phase out and get replaced by a different one. So it's this. It keeps everything a lot more exciting and just a lot more interactive, and doesn't just slam the meta with all this different shit all at the same time. And now that they're Soulbound, it's all RNG related to how it affects your playing. I've basically resolved to the point of I'm never going to have a gold foil maxed Izzyar. It's just not going to happen. I don't have a single one. I never got any. And, around Chaos Legion, late Untamed, I started going gold foil, and Chaos Legion, like, I'm just going full gold foil, and slowly started working that on Rebellion. I'm not going to hit it with the way it is, but, just knowing that you'll never get a max gold foil Izzyar, especially if unlock costs are like 18x, like I'm not dropping $1,000 on that thing, So,
well, especially now, right? Like if they get unlocked and we get that new set next summer, you're dropping $1,000 for less than a year of being modern compatible.
Yeah, a couple months or something. Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
you forget that they're the Chaos Legion rewards cards.
They've been around for that long, 18 months now, pretty much.
Yeah, it's overdue. It's overdue.
Yeah.
I think that's something that should have been a full plan. Here's what it takes to unlock. Well, I guess it was an experiment, though. It really was an experiment, and hopefully the next stage of this experiment won't be the same.
Well, Ben, I know we need more data. Around,
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
18 months.
You were kicking around the idea of having a proposal out for staggered rewards, that sort of thing, staggered rewards cards. Increased unlocking thing. Is that kind of on hold now, or are you kind of waiting to see what?
No, Yaba's got it. I sent it over 2 weeks ago, and Yaba responded pretty quickly saying he's got eyes on it. He's going to take some time to think it through, and he'll get back to us. So
he has seen the proposal with this. With that.
Well, it's at this point it's
he hasn't read that far into it yet.
Well, it's not officially a proposal, I guess.
Right.
To his point. So he was, maybe we're arguing semantics here, but yeah, to his credit, it's not a proposal. It's a proposal. Yeah, it's the proposed proposal.
The proposed proposal.
But yeah, that whole idea kind of breaks down batch cycles of 3-month kind of blocks around what that immediate unlock looks like and where the price moves. And so we'll see what he comes back with, but hopefully I've called it out a couple of times. Hopefully we get that thing on for voting airwaves before too long.
And that's got to be a stress point for him. I'm just putting myself in his situation, and no matter what he decides for unlocking, there's going to be some people who are just not going to like it. So it's I don't envy his position right now.
I don't know. I feel like that almost at some point that maybe that is just more my personality, like because I don't give a fuck as much. But like if I know there's always going to be a group of people who doesn't like him, like if the decision I make is always going to rub a group of people the wrong way, it makes it easier to make because you can kind of just say, well, it's not like fine. There's never going to be a perfect solution, right? If people are always going to be pissed off by something you do, then you might as well just pull the trigger and do it, right? So.
Well, it's also like we've got a big enough group. There's no way in hell you're going to be able to please everybody. Like just
it's impossible, literally impossible.
Yeah,
please the little guys though. That's Please the bronze players. We want bronze to be like super fun, super comfortable, super engaging. That's my mantra there. And top, and say, hey,
the bronze might be a pipe dream, Jimmy. That's a hard one
no,
to.
it's not. It's not that hard. Just get it, boom. They got rid of the bot problem. The bot in modern, that was killing the bronze thing. And then there were all these little things. It's like you could eliminate those little things. And when we have, let's say we get 10,000 new players also in bronze, it's not that hard to create a system where they're happy, there's competitiveness, and they're just raging in bronze. And then what, 20% of them say, well, shit, I want to move up to silver. This is great. And then, it just becomes this natural progression.
Got to get that snowball moving, man. I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, hopefully we get that thing moving quickly. I think the ghost card thing, Paul, shout out to Paul TRX. I think that's one of your Team Possible homies. Put out that ghost card proposal, which is going to enable the team to very easily scale up and scale down liquidity bots. Yeah, so there's stuff happening.
A lot easier than just real cards that you have to deal with for that. We need thousands of these at all levels. The fact that they're not earning is fantastic, and ghost cards should just make it a lot easier to, you ideally, I think you'd want a mix of everything. You want some bots that just kick ass every time you play them, and you want some that just don't have every card in there and don't always throw out optimum teams. You definitely want those different levels to kind of help settle everything out.
You need bots that are just going to like play down sometimes,
Yeah,
make stupid
not
mistakes
always
like
make 50% of the time we don't make the best team, stuff like that.
Man, you
or
guys
they look
just
at
wait.
who you're playing.
You guys
and make
just wait. You guys just wait. Yeah, look at who you're playing and throw it down because I know it's B Jangles.
No, it's B Jangles. Can we code that in there where B Jangles gets the shaft every time he plays this certain bot?
It'd be even greater if there was like dedicated villain to every account. You know what I mean? And it was named accordingly. Fat
like
Jimmy,
a shadow,
we've got the Slim Jim Reaper or something on the other side.
Fat Jimmy Slim.
Yeah. What do you guys think about? We were batting around this idea on the Battle Royale with we had Azurkhan hop on and Steve or Bebe, Luis hopped on, and we were talking around the idea of, and this is something that I don't think is new. It's definitely not revolutionary idea, but we haven't heard it in a while. The idea of adjusting glint rewards based upon the rating matchup. So, for example, if one of us beats, shout out to Ultims and Vet V, that guy is well in excess of 8K rating, which is just absurd. 8,200 in modern. So nobody comes close to
8,200 right now. Holy
8,240, and the next closest is also Ultims at 7,500. So no matter who you are, there's going to be a massive gap. I'm in Champ 1 and I'm 4,000 points below this guy, which is just absurd. But there should be some sense of reward for beating an account that is, well in excess of where you are rating wise. And I feel like Glint is a fair reward for doing that. It should be an accomplishment because this guy is clearly one of the best in the game. And if I'm just getting your standard SPS, your standard Glint, your standard rating points, it's kind of anticlimactic, I feel like. So, I feel like if rating plays into your reward shares as defined by the Glint reward, would be a really cool mechanic to kind of tweak a little bit, and also like ending a win streak for somebody. I feel like would be a cool reward too. Yep. And Glint is soulbound. It's there's no monetary value attached. I feel like that's easy win. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I like that. That sounds a little more dynamic. Anything that gets more personal engagement with stuff like that is a win.
Yeah, agreed. That'd be fun.
Well, cool, gents. Jimmy, I know you had a list of stuff that we kind of wanted to talk through. You got anything else?
No,
You
I
want to
don't
bring to
think
the
so.
table?
Wasn't really a list. It was more like a general on the fly. Hey, what should we talk about? I think we covered a lot of stuff in there, right?
Let's get let's wind it down with a story from the road, man. I know you're chock full of them, and you and I were going back and forth around the legend that is Bill Walton, R.I.P. to one of the greats.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, sad, died young, man. 70,
Yeah, I didn't even know he
71.
had cancer, man. He was hiding that well. Very
Yeah.
well. Very well. Yeah, that's definitely a bummer. He was a dead staple. You sent me that video, and it's funny, you sent me that video, and I had literally watched it like 5 minutes before that, where he explained that he was a huge deadhead. That was part of it. And then he reached out all of the what was it? The Dead was playing the Boston Garden. It must have I
Yeah.
have to imagine it was the 80s. I'm guessing it was the late
Oh, it
80s.
had
That
to
was
be. Yeah, yeah.
exploded. And when the Dead came to town, I remember this happened in New York City where I was living. All of a sudden, a couple of blocks were just like he was saying, all the Celtics were like, "What's going on? There's all these people in tie dyes that smell funny, and they're walking around. And what's up?" He's like, "The Dead's in town," and they're like, "Can you get us in?" And how cool was that? That he reached out to the guys, and they just made this little side of the stage room for all of the Boston Celtics to go and watch the show, and they were all just absolutely blown away. Oh, it's
Asking for
crazy.
more, asking
Awesome.
for more,
Oh yeah,
wanted to go
asking for
back.
more. They all
Yeah.
became deadheads, man. Like I was good friends with so he mentioned Ramrod in that video.
Yep.
Ramrod was originally Jerry Garcia's tech, his guitar tech, and he became the president of the Grateful Dead. So in the 80s, he was president of the organization. That was the Grateful Dead. So he was multitasking. He was pretty much running the show. And I was really good friends with his son, Rudson, who I met through Steve Kimmock. That was another thing. He used to do front of house and guitar tech for Steve Kimmock. And he actually kind of taught me how to tech for Steve and kind of passed that torch to me. But I used to go to his house. He passed a few years ago. He had cancer as well. But we used to go to his house, and there were these on the wall. There was like the Larry Bird. He had all these Celtics paraphernalia, and there was like the Larry Bird signed jersey where it was like to Ramrod from Larry Bird, and all that cool stuff. That was
Yeah, what a cool video
awesome.
that was, man. And Hep, I'll send it to you after we get off the call. But
Yeah.
he's like Jimmy said, he's just like recounting getting all of these Celtics who
the
they are
whole team.
playing. Yeah, like they're clearly opponents and like enemy number one on the floor, but off the floor they're hanging out at a Grateful Dead show. And yeah, the way that he's just telling this story, it's like the joy on his face, and yeah, great storyteller, great dude.
Yeah,
R.I.P. Bill Walton,
post a
man.
link in the show notes. Are there show notes where you could post a link like that?
I could
Yeah.
put it on the
We
Peak
can put in the
T.
Peak
Yeah,
T article.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
definitely
throw it
do
in there.
that, man. And then what else has happened? Got the insane honor of being Phil Lesh's personal tech for a gig, which was absolutely amazing. I did a bunch of guitar tech stuff for when I do shows, and his main guy was showing me how to set up his rig just in case he couldn't make a show one of these days, and I could do it. So got the call a couple months ago or 2 months ago, whatever, where they're like, "Hey, can you be Phil's tech for a gig?" And that was very different than playing with him. That's for sure. You have a lot more responsibility, and he's getting old. I think he's like 83 or something like that, and his bass is like 40 pounds. Is this big old modulus thing, and you're helping him put that thing on, and I don't know. It was just really amazing to do it from that to do a show from that angle, where you're the guy helping this living legend out that you've always looked up to. And when he needs something, he's like, come here. And you run up on, you're on stage, and he's like, I grab me this or get me this, or yeah, no, it was just amazing. Absolutely
Dream
amazing.
come true, man.
Honor.
You've kind of grown with this band from decades ago, and to kind of see it come to almost full circle with now you up on stage with these guys helping out. What a cool story, man.
Yeah.
Got to play with the drummer a while ago too. I don't know if I ever told you that. I did a gig with Bill Kreitzman once. I don't know, not a gig, more of a jam. He was playing at a place in Petaluma, at the Mystic Theater. I was working with Kimmock because Kimmock was there. Dave Schools from Widespread Panic was on bass. Vince Herman from Leftover Salmon was on vocals. And another dude, Lebo from ALO, was on guitar. A bunch of dudes playing. And Billy still very much enjoys psychedelics. So he was raging, right? And they did the show at the Mystic. And he's like, man, I don't want to stop. Let's just keep jamming. And he invited a bunch of us down. Someone who owned a club nearby was like, dude, let's go to my club. We'll lock the doors and we'll just have a private party. And we went down there. So after their show wrapped up, wraps up at midnight. So we go down a couple doors down, and we're all set up. Dave Schools showed up. The only person who didn't show up was Kimmock, I think. The whole rest of the band showed up, and I got invited to play, and I think one or two other people, and we just freaking jammed. Billy was tripping, and we just freaking jammed until I don't know, 3 or 4 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Playing, there was maybe 50 people there in the audience, and it was just this private thing, and you're jamming with Billy Kreitzman and Dave Schools and all that stuff. It was great. It was one of those amazing moments you'll never forget.
That's
That's
awesome, man.
Have you gotten to the Sphere for any shows yet? I know Fish did a run there, and I think Dead & Co. did a
Yeah,
run there.
Dead & Co. was down there too. No, I haven't been there yet. I've talked to some people who have, and they said it's absolutely incredible. I mean, it just looks insane. That looks like something out of the future. Just this whole digital screen that wraps around the entire venue.
Yeah. I would question and definitely second guess the idea of participating in any sort of psychedelic journey before stepping into the Sphere, man. I feel like that just absolutely puts it, close your eyes or open your eyes, you're going to be seeing and experiencing the same sort of wild journey.
Yeah. I had a buddy who went and saw Fish, and he said the craziest thing about it was the sound. Is you don't really see, there's not big rigs of speakers up anywhere. And he's like, it was very strange that the sound was so clear. He's like, even if he bent down, crouched down in a big crowd, the sound was still as clear, when he was crouched down as when he was standing up.
Man. I'm wondering if I got to ask somebody. That might be the Myers constellation system or an evolution of that. Have you heard of that thing at all?
No.
So Myers is a sound company that evolved out of the Grateful Dead here in the Bay Area. People that used to work for them, and those guys were developing PAs. Back in the '60s, Phil tells me he's playing 4 Showmans as his bass rig because they didn't have PAs in the late. They did not have adequate sound systems, and the Grateful Dead was absolutely integral in developing the modern concert system. They were a huge part of it, and a big part of that was these guys like Bill Graham and these other Owsley and these dudes who were making LSD, had all this money. That was, they had all this cash that it was what do you do with it? Well, let's make a sound system. Let's figure this stuff out. So they had literally unlimited funding, and just really evolved the whole thing into this whole new place over the years. And the Myers constellation system, it's becoming very popular now. So Myers Sound, they made this. It's a grid. The first place I saw it was at Bob Weir's studio, TRI. And it was this, you're in this big warehouse space, and there's a grid on the ceiling with all these little microphones hanging down and these little speakers on this grid. And they were able to replicate any room, any venue. So they would go to these different venues and map out the reverb and the time delay and all this stuff. Spending years touring and traveling they got all this data, and they mapped out these venues. So you're standing in this warehouse. I first got to experience it. It was empty. There was nothing in there. And I was just with the guy who was running the thing. And he's like, okay, check this out. He's like, this is Red Rocks. And you clap your hands and you just get this incredible echo and this sense of space. And you're just in this literally empty warehouse room type of thing. It's really surreal. And then he's like, this is Madison Square Garden. And then you do the same thing and you're talking to him and screaming, and the whole ambient space changes. Everything becomes this whole different, like, holy shit, this is what it sounds like to be in Madison Square Garden. Here's the Boston Garden, and and all these famous venues. Here's the Fillmore, here's this, here's that. And Bobby was, so the Dead and Company, they would practice with different settings. So they're in that space and they'd be like, here, let's practice in, Madison Square Garden. We're going to be there. So then their sound guys would get the settings right for being in that room before they ever get there, which makes sound check a hell of a lot easier when you're trying to drive that in. So it's this amazing system. But anyway, the coolest thing about that, he was like, check this out, dead space. And he switches it, and you're in this giant room that should echo like crazy, and you clap your hands, and it was just nothing. Like literally, there was no echo whatsoever. I could see he was talking, and I could barely hear him right next to me. And he's like, this
maybe that's
space.
something like that. Yeah, because my buddy said he's like somebody. You could see the person in front of you was talking, where like normally at like a show, like that's very disruptive. He's like, I couldn't hear what they were saying.
Yeah,
I hear the
think
music
it's the
more.
same thing because they're using it in restaurants now. A bunch of restaurants in the area here in California have installed this constellation system, and it's in their dining room. So you could be sitting there having a conversation with somebody in what's typically this really loud dining room, and you won't hear anything that's happening. You can't hear the conversation at the table right next to you.
Wow.
But they don't do it like Dead Space where it's weird. They make it so they blend in just a little bit of the ambient noise. So your table, you can talk to people in this space and hear them perfectly, amplified almost. And then everything that's outside of this little bubble around your table is completely muted, and you're just hearing a very, very toned down. You know what it's like to be in like a crowded restaurant or in a crowded place where it's just too damn loud and you can't hear what's going on, you can't concentrate, and they've eliminated that.
Wow.
It's really crazy, and it's all just through phase cancellation and how acoustics work, and it's amazing. That sounds. I'm going to ask Howard Danchik. He's one of the guys who does that.
Okay.
Old deadhead front of house guy.
Let me know, man. Let me know when you hear back
Yeah.
from him, because I'm definitely interested in it, because it sounds pretty fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like that might be.
I just looked it up, and it says the Sphere has 167,000 speakers.
That sounds like the system.
Yeah.
And it might be. It says it's powered by HoloPlot, HOLO plot. Sphere immersive sound. Interesting.
Wow. I'm going to find out if that's a Myers invention. It might be the evolution of the constellation system, because it sounds like it's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty amazing.
That's something I hadn't even considered. It's so, because I'm envisioning myself, Hep, as you just described, like if you bend down to, talk to your friend or answer a phone call or something at a show, usually you can get some crowd coverage and therefore sound protection. But if that completely disappears, what a weird experience, man. That's absolutely rad.
It's funny because I was asking him about, obviously the visuals and stuff, and he like that. He's like that was the most interesting part of it. Like the visuals were all cool; they were really cool but like the thing he wanted to talk about most was this sound. And that's the thing we kind of probably talked about the most. He said it was just the craziest, weirdest experience in a very good way, because it made it very enjoyable. He's like, no matter where you are, pretty much in there, it seems it's probably like you kind of get a good experience.
If you scroll through any jam band Reddit, the number one complaint is the chompers. Those guys who are just high on something, sitting next to you, yapping your ear off. Go to the Sphere. Go to the Sphere. The chompers are a non-issue.
I was definitely one of those guys.
Sounds like Mavchat.
We need one of those in there. That would be great. Well, actually, you could do that. You could mute people, right? You can block people, and then it's just there. You don't see them.
Yeah, I went to one fish show in my life, and I have a bunch of buddies who are really into it. And we didn't have particularly great seats, but we were kind of like, it was at Madison Square Garden. We were in one of the upper decks, and I wasn't really asking, but they wanted me to have such a good experience that they were like trying to explain like what was going on to me, and like, oh, this is this or that song, and then yeah, at some point, some guy did turn around and like, will you guys shut
Quit
up?
jumping.
Like,
That's you, man. You were probably the brunt of some commentary on Reddit, dude.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
He was just listening. He wasn't talking.
Oh,
Yeah.
right,
And then
right. That's awesome.
and then I got to experience the nitrous balloon situation outside of
Extravaganza.
MSG. Yeah, that was the thing that bugged me out the most, probably.
A
Like,
little
whoa, this
shakedown
is
street,
intense.
man.
And also, like, because I growing up outside of Philadelphia and going to tons of Philly sports games, like that's a very common sight is like people selling nitrous balloons in the parking lot of a Philly sports game. Like that's
Oh shit.
guaranteed to see it. And I don't know, like, if it's the regulations or what the deal is, but like if it's somehow like legal or something, because it's constant. You always see it. You always see it, and people tailgating. There's someone always walking around with a tank and nitrous balloons. But like it was just like so hardcore and intense, and like people really hustling you, and like there's just like stone people, people tripping balls, that like wandering around, do it everywhere. You're just like this is weird, It's
At
like
sporting events?
no, say outside the fish show.
Oh, the
It was a little
Eagles,
Okay.
man.
at the sporting events, yeah, it is kind of weird, but
Eagles.
it's in a more spread out environment, because like they walk around like the big parking lots, and some people do them here or there. But like when you walk out of a show and it's like you're in New York, there's like a dark street and there's like 100 people like huffing balloons all of a sudden around you, like being super messed up. That was like unnerving to me. I was like, that's kind
Yeah,
of
that's a little sketchy. That doesn't
Yeah.
sound fun.
Yeah,
That does not sound fun to me.
yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm curious to hear the what kind of business do those guys do at like post Eagles games, post Phillies games? I'm surprised that even exists, that there's a market for
Yeah,
that.
that's weird with the sports thing. I guess it kind of makes sense. I
You've
guess.
never tailgated in Philly. It sounds like you've never tailgated in Philly.
I'm
So.
not a sports dude, man. My brother was a professional soccer player, and I just don't. I don't know if it's I don't have the time or the interest. It's just I don't take hours and watch sporting events.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the
Yeah.
thing.
You
Yeah,
consumed elsewhere. So, man, Jimmy, let's wind down with this, man. So, at the beginning of the show, you said you've been slam packed with work stuff. What's good with Fat Jimmy Amps, man? What's happening?
We're raging. Fat
Yeah?
Jimmy's raging as always. Yeah. Supply chain from COVID has not completely been rectified. There's still ripple effects from that in a very strong way. For example, I ordered cabinets in November. The wooden boxes you put your amps in that get wrapped in Tolex and the fancy grill cloth. Ordered those in November, and I just got in my order a couple weeks ago. It's April or May right now.
And
Hey, every
almost
month
June.
I'm like, hey, toss in 5 more of this model. Hey, toss in 6 more of this. So, and then all of a sudden you get this huge bill because you don't have this like staggered thing. You're used to ordering them and getting them every few months. And then of course you're scrambling to fill the back orders too, because you can't spend like 5 days building an amp or 4 days building an amp and then not get paid for it. Right. And just say, oh, this will be ready for when the cabinets come in. So it's this whole like thing where you're timing things and getting it done. So it's happening. I've been reworking the bass amp. Had some input from Les Claypool, tried one out, and he thought it was pretty cool. And he was like, hey, can you do this to it to make it more this? Or, he had some input. And I was like, or some, criticism and a request. And I was like, that's really cool. I hadn't really thought of it. So I spent about a week just really diving into the bass amp recently and just tweaking it. And really happy with how that turned out. Actually, it improved, I think, considerably. I was happy with it before, but now I'm even more happy with it. And that's one of the really cool things of getting to work with, real professionals like that. You get, some feedback, and it's like, if you take it seriously and don't get offended, they're like, well, I like this and don't like this. It's like, well, what can I, here's what you're looking for. Yeah, let me see if I can make that happen. And then you do, and you get this. So we're waiting to see if, get it back in his hands to retest, which will be cool. But we brought it down to a benefit show on the other day for Memorial Day, and a bunch of dudes were playing that. Pete Sears, one of the bass players, he was in like Jefferson Airplane and Starship and all those guys, kind of a Bay Area legend. he got to play it for a while, and he had some great things to say, and a bunch of local legends were there, the underground guys. So it
Hell
got
yeah,
some
man.
test. Yeah, so it was cool. Very happy with that. Uh, Doing another model. You ever hear the Dumble amplifiers? Like
Name doesn't ring a bell. No, Dumble.
okay, it's like this again, kind of like this underground thing. There was this guy in California. He made amps for I think he made about 300 of them. Um, Collectors get them. Big name musician like John Mayer is collecting them. Um, at a show once, he was like, "Oh, come here, man! You got to check this out." I'm like, "What is it?" He's like, "I got Merle Haggard's Dumble," and I'm like, "No way!" And he just bought that for like 100 grand. He bought this amplifier. It was Merle Haggard's Dumble. He's like, "Come here, check it out, check it out." So I got to like, mess with it a little bit, and it was really cool. But anyway, it's this really unique, very special amplifier. Ry Cooder used to play it. A bunch of dudes used to play them. And
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan had one on order. He had given him a deposit, and then when he died, the Stevie Ray Vaughan estate was like, "Hey, can we get that amp he ordered?" And he's like, "No," like he wouldn't finish it. It was kind of a dick move, I think. But yeah, he never got his. But anyway, there's this thing he did. It was a mod he did to Fenders called the Ultraphonics mod. And part of it is not just the values or a schematic. It's these very specific like resistors and capacitors that he uses that have a certain sound. And you just can't get these things. Like you can't go on eBay. You can't find them. They do not exist out there. And I know 2 people in the world who have them, so, and these are people who are also in many Dumbles and stuff. So I was like, hey, learned about it recently and rubbed some elbows and traded some parts and got a handful of these goodies. And I built the first version of that. And it's freaking pretty amazing. It's not a Dumble, but it was what Dumble used to do to Fenders to modify them and make his own thing. And it's a really cool sound. And I've been playing it and brought it to that gig as a backline, and all these other guys got to play it. And a couple guys ordered one. They're like, "Okay, I want one." I'm like, "Well, I got enough. I can make a few, but I can't make too many." So
Sick, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's happening slowly but surely. Keeps happening. I still haven't sold another amp for SPS yet, though.
Well, any musicians out there, FatJimmy's your guy.
That's right, and I'll
Reach
take SPS right now.
Yeah, load up, back up the
At
truck,
0.01. What are we at? 0.012 or something?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, as usual, a lot of fun hanging out, FatJimmy. Always appreciate you swinging by, man. And we'll have to make it. I think always welcome back. Hopefully, Battle Royale between now and the next episode we get you on for. But
Yeah, I'm up for another
we'll be
one.
seeing you soon.
I thought he
thank
wasn't
you.
welcome back to those anymore after he destroyed everybody so handily.
After I did the clean sweep.
Well, if FatJimmy's present, maybe we make it where if the recipient of the FatJimmy Award, the gold foil stonefish is present and is a loser in the FatJimmy, you've got to pass the FatJimmy trophy.
We have to
around.
pass that for that Hardy Stonefish to the next person.
Yeah.
But that next person has to do a sweep. You can't just lose one
Yes.
match.
Right.
No.
right,
Yeah. You've got to perform the FatJimmy. Yeah.
Ooh, it could be cool is you have to add one. So you have to, if it started out as one Hardy goldfish, if someone does the sweep, I have to combine. And so
Let's do it.
It'll be a
love it.
2 BCX.
2 BCX.
And then it'll just keep going around until it's maxed up.
I love it. Let's do
go.
it.
Let's push it over, Max. Let's have like this circulating.
Yeah, this
That's what I
200
was talking, an
BCX
arms
Hardy
race.
Stonefish.
Unlimited.
This is the
cards.
bottomless pit of Hardy Stonefish gold foil, man.
Dude, if you guys are watching now, man, there are a lot of insane deals on the market right now. If you want to stock up on like untamed cards and stuff like that, we're hitting some points where these prices are at where they were right before the last explosion, before we had that crazy bull run and, saw crazy prices. There's some amazing deals right now for people who are looking to collect and fill untamed collections and stuff. Now is the time. I just got a gold foil Phyrexia General. Pulled the trigger on that.
That's the dragon card, right?
No, it's a fire card. It's the Fire Sniper, Epic Fire Sniper with Inspire. He's a freaking beast.
And Shatter?
Yeah.
Is he Shatter guy?
Shatter? No, I don't think he has Shatter. He has Inspire.
Inspire, Snipe, Shatter?
It is Shatter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. No, he's a badass. And I play him all the time. Like if you're using Jotun and stuff,
Okay.
or hell, even when you're using just some killer, melee cards, that Inspire on there he's an awesome card. And I've always wanted him gold foil. Price was right, It's like, let me do it. And I combined them. I made a level 10.
Bingo.
They're
Nice.
there, man. Anyone who's looking, now is the time.
Yeah,
Buy
it's
one.
like
Blood and
cheaper to get Untamed cards than Rebellion right now.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Well,
Yeah, I've definitely been looking.
Kitty
I've
has
been
come down to 40 bucks at BCX.
Wow.
Really? That's
Yeah.
cheaper than some of the other summoners.
That's almost
Cheaper,
Lorcas prices.
Cheaper than Chauncey's.
Yeah, almost. It's the time, man. Kitty's always going to be awesome and wild.
Yeah.
Always. That's going to get you. That'll
Yeah.
earn its keep in tournaments and in wild ranked. I want to see wild get back, just be a place that's amazing to play in.
Well, I think with, there's a chance with all these additional game modes, if they come to fruition, if we can, have the ability to customize stuff and make available the ability for us to kind of assign value to, what do these tournaments offer for folks, or what does this, kind of draft mode make available for folks. I think we can start to move the needle on this because I can't imagine these Untamed prices sticking around forever. This is
No, it's
it's
gonna
crazy.
be one of those things where it's like, and I mean, I slept on a few. I ended up buying that Phyrexia for a couple bucks more because a few of those lower priced BCX got grabbed. I was like, oh, it's gonna cost me this much. Let me do that. And then I got distracted, and then a few days later, I'm like, oh yeah, let me go look. And I'm like, damn it. And that was happening to a bunch. I just maxed a gold foil Bortus summoner, the fire or
Mhm.
water.
Water.
-1 -1 magic. Same thing. I waited a few days and some of those low BCX vanished, and it ended up costing me like $10 more to max them. But
Yeah. I'd buy on a Kralis that was like, yeah, it's pretty reasonable. I think I could have gotten level 3 for maybe like 80 or $100 or something. But
he's a beast. Changle's just got a Kralis, I think, right?
Did
I
you?
did. Yeah.
Oh, you grabbed the ones I was looking at, probably.
I might have. Yeah, because I got a level 2 now.
He's good. He's
I
good.
went after Chancius, Llama, Kralis. I've got a gold foil Lorna.
Nice.
Never
Yeah, I might
in
get
my
a gold.
wildest dreams. Yeah, I think you and I went back and forth with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, never in my
time.
wildest dreams did I think I would have a gold foil Lorna, but it was like $25 or something for a silver level gold foil Lorna.
Yeah, some of these prices are
yeah.
insane, man. It's if you believe that this game isn't going anywhere, it's time to snag some of those deals.
Man, I feel like if we were gonna go somewhere, we would have disappeared already. We're at 6 years. I feel like we've got the pieces in place. Maybe they're not in the correct order. The equation isn't quite, nailed down pat, but the recipe is there. We're just working out what is the, what are the finer details. I feel like 6 years that's something we should be proud of, man. That's a big accomplishment, especially being a crypto game.
Absolutely, man. That's old. That's long. That's old school. And then once we get the validator nodes down, that's just
We're the Dumbles.
Basically.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Awesome. Hep,
Nice.
are you doing some shopping right now, or is that where you're zooming around on your?
I was looking at it. Yeah, I was looking at it. We'll see.
What were you looking at?
I was just looking at the Untamed cards. Yeah.
There's some good ones out there.
Yeah, there's some really good ones. Yeah.
Dude, Phantom of the Abyss is down to $6.
Oh,
No way.
That's insane. I spend so much money on my Phantom of the Abyss. But
there's a max copy for $37. Oh, excuse me, $68. That's just crazy.
Yeah,
Almo is down to $6.
What? Almo's $6 right now?
I might be buying back into Almo. Yeah.
I snagged an Almo the other day.
Amazing, man, especially with the weapons training now. He's just it's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
There's good stuff out there, man. Yeah. Well, I don't know if we can end on much more of a positive note here in our freaking joy and giddiness as we're looking through these card prices on
The deals
dice.
and psyched about them too.
Yeah, deals, man. Get them while they're hot.
Yeah, I gotta play never mind. Speaking of Untamed, I gotta try to play Lorcus with my Cthulhu. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I
Haven't
gotta
thought
get
of that
remember
yet.
that
Magic
Lorcus
play.
is under death. He's under. I'm looking for him in fire. I'm like, where's my? Where is he? And then the clock's ticking. All right.
Well, once we wrap this up, let's do a couple challenges if you guys are up for it, and see if we can
Oh,
spam
hell
some
yeah.
Lorcas.
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
let's put
You
a
guys
bow on
can.
this thing.
I gotta run. I gotta get to bed. I gotta work in the morning. So
All right, well let's put a bow
Shoot
on
the
this
moon.
thing.
Just stay up all night.
Take some call Billy. Get some of that hippie juice. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. A lot of fun hanging out with you. Thanks again to FatJimmy for coming to hang out with us.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy.
We'll see you guys here for next week. Another good episode teed up for you guys.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. You have been listening to
The People's Guild.